This broadcast from IOF TV is brought to you by T-Cartor and Lumonite.
Hello and welcome back to Finland for the final race of this 2024 Orienteering World Cup. We've got two middle distance races going on today. We'll start by focusing on the women and the battle for the overall World Cup title there, and then move on to the men's. We're in the same arena as a couple of days ago for the long distance. There's a few more spectators here though today to hopefully watch some exciting and fast-paced races. We're in the forest just to the north of this same arena, whereas in the long distance we were down in the south and to the west as well. But it's pretty good conditions, a little bit colder than a couple of days ago, but good conditions for racing certainly as well. We've got this starts going out of the arena, finishing back in there too, and they've got to battle over this hill that you see on the left of your picture. And really today is all about, well, the final race of the season, individually at least, and kind of deciding who is going to win those overall World Cup rounds. They've been getting points based on position. First place gets you 100 points, second place gets you 80. The top 40 in each World Cup, they score points and added up throughout the total today. And it means, Jonas, we've actually, in both the women's and in the men's race, we've got a two-horse race for the title overall, haven't we?
Yes, that's right. First out, we're going to see the women, and there we have the fight between Abersold and Alexandersson, even though I have to say that the advantage for Abersold is very, very big there. So if she ends up, I think it is 23rd position, then she's fine, then she's won it. And given the fact that she has been winning or second in all of the World Cup races this year, well, that should be doable for her. And in the men's class then, a bit later, we're going to see the fight between Fosser and Rekborn. This one a bit closer, but even there, it's quite an advantage for Kasper Fosser.
Yeah, we will come on to that a lot later on in the broadcast. You can see the details for the course there on your screen, 4.5 kilometres for the women. And in fact, we've already got down to a winning time currently of 32 minutes 41. So the course setters are expecting it to be run a little bit quicker than a typical middle distance. And this is the course there. And as I said, one big hill. But Jonas, why don't you talk us through it?
Yeah, you can see we start with one control in the green. Maybe one of the most difficult controls. You can, though, use the re-entrant there to get to the control quite easily. Second one, rather easy. Go down to a terrace. There's a crack, and then we have the maybe longest route of this course to control 3 over the hill. Short turn to 4, and then at 5 we have the first TV split. From there we follow kind of parallel to the slope to control 6, another quite short leg to 7, and then the second, well, can't really call it a long leg, but a longer leg. You can even go to the left of this green area or to the right, or yeah, you can go through as well, but what we have seen so far, the quickest route has been a little bit to the left. Then all the way down to 9 and 10, there we have the second TV control. From 10, the runners, they have to climb up that hill again for a last very short loop 11, 12, 13. And then we started downhill. 13 is the TV control again, downhill 14 and 15, 16, then the last two controls of the course. Generally, it's probably not the most difficult course ever in Finland, but given the fact that we need to have quite tight races with many runners between the two fighting for the overall World Cup, this really opens up. I think quite many runners can do well on a course like this. It's all about being perfect in execution. We see here the different options in route choice. The red one is fastest to the moment. And there we get a glimpse of the terrain as well. In some parts, it's quite stony here up in Kuopio. You can see it here, so it's not as white as it looks on the map, or it is as white as it looks on the map, but it's in bits in some parts. It's rather difficult to have it in a good way coordination-wise with reading the map and running at the same time. This then downhill towards control 3, you get a rather good attack point there to the left where you have this spur, and then you have to enter this smaller green area. Of course it will be a bit of an advantage for the late starters here, all the controls in the green. I guess it's gonna track up a little bit. This then the second bit longer leg, 7 to 8. Also here you have the possibility to go over the hill or to round it a little bit. To the moment, actually the quickest is straight, more or less straight through the green. Lucy Semikova has been running there. We had the same time also for Elisa Mattila. She was going more over the hill using this semi-open area. So better to go straight or to the left compared to the one we see in the picture here, at the moment at least. This is kind of maybe the main task today. You have to be very careful when you drop down to the controls, especially if you don't run like the direct line down a hill. You have to be running a bit parallel to the hill but drop at the same time. You have to be very careful with navigation, but most often you get good chances to build in an attack point, so it's doable. You have to stay very focused throughout the course. I see, as I said before, the possibility for many of the runners to do a good race here.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see as we kind of follow the athletes around and see whether there's too many mistakes being made, certainly. But the start list is done in order of the World Cup points. Obviously, you have the two in contention for the overall World Cup title, Abersold and Alexanderson off last. Of course, we're going to be looking for them as two of the favourites. Anyone else we can add into the mix?
Yeah, maybe to look a bit at the earlier starters, I would say that Sanna Fast can be a good name to drop here. Quick runner, good technically, definitely one that could do good. We have Marika Teini, Camilla Staver, Ines Berger has had the great European champs, Johanna Riedefeld, usually a good name to say here when it comes to a bit more technical orienteering. Cécile Gallandry, and then of course the last starters. Well, you don't have to be an expert to name the last starters when it's according to the World Cup standings, but yeah, of course the biggest favorite for me today, Tove Alexandersson, because we know that she has to win the race. Even though at the same time she doesn't have that much pressure, the chance for her to win the overall World Cup is very little. I would expect Simona Abersold to put in a little bit more safety, because this 23rd position she should be able to do, even just going 80-90%, and that has to be the main goal for today.
Yeah, so for Tove Alexandersson to win the overall World Cup, she has to win today, and Simona Abersold has to be 24th or
Yeah.
lower. So lots of requirements for her to actually
Yeah, at the
win.
same time, I have to say it's a bit of a danger for Apple to put in too much safety, because as soon as you kind of go slower and you don't run in competition speed, everything gets a bit more like unusual. You don't have the feeling for the distance anymore as you have it. It's the same as in a qualification. It's a risk to not go full speed. So let's see how she will handle that problem.
Yes, it's going to be very interesting. This is Malin Egve Christensen. The Dane was 5th in the sprint race at the World Championships earlier on this year. Fantastic result for her. So we'll see how she's able to fare in the forest. She was 20th in the long distance. Let's catch up then with some of the faster runners. Obviously, Sabina Almo is currently leading at the finish. Then we can compare her to Lisa Mattala and the Swiss runner Marion Abbey. Who's been
And
setting some good times around. You can see this here.
yeah,
She's already looking very fast.
Abby struggled a lot on Thursday on the long distance technically, just around, I think it was the second TV control. Now we're following Sanna Fast. I dropped her name before, so let's see if that was a good choice. Yeah, it looks like that. You can see
really
she's very distinct, very attacking in her style of orienteering, looking around, trying to catch the features on the way. And if you look around here, it's not hard to understand that a Swedish runner would feel familiar in this kind of terrain. It's very Scandinavian in this particular part here.
Yeah, she's really attacking, going through all of these trees when they're close together, and is on her way towards the 4th control. Then we'll get the time check at number 5.
So now,
but picking
now she
up
has
some
this
open areas and the boulders there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Now I think she's just around the boulder here, open area. Control should come quite soon. Here it is.
Okay, that's
very
number
well
4.
done. So the next one is the TV control. It's the one where we get the split time. I would say if we execute this one well, it's just about 25 seconds to this one, so should be possible for Sanna Fast to take over the leads.
Yeah, so we watch her coming through here. Let's see where she's able to position herself. It's a very, very good start. Not loads of World Cup points, but have got quite a lot from her 7th place on Thursday. And there we go, 34 seconds in the lead. A great, great start then for Sanna Fast. She looks so comfortable in that terrain, and there you can see there's the routes. She took a slightly different route up the climb out of control number 2, but as you can see, for all of these athletes, pretty similar routes, fairly straightforward at this point, and she's just moving the terrain much quicker.
Yeah, but we have to say that it looks difficult when you see it in the picture here, because it looked very green and dense, but at the same time, if you just have direction, you get a clear attack point before the control, so there's no need to slow down. She should run in a very attacking style, and she did that perfectly. But just to say, you have to run like this if you want to win today.
Yeah, you really do. That was Marion Abbey going into the lead, still maintaining her lead at that point. Control number 10, TV number 2. This is Ingrid Lundenes on her position at the start. In the arena today, in front of the crowd, and she's going to have the best run in the long distance. They'll be wanting to certainly make up for that one. You can see she's got a compass out in front of her. Just trying to stay nice and relaxed on the start line. And there's a very short run out towards the actual line of the forest for the Norwegian. And get a first glimpse of the map and the challenge that awaits her. Let's head back into the terrain.
Yeah.
Yep. She was 19th on Thursday's competition. Great result for the Finn, and Finn's already putting in a good stint. This is her last section, kind of down towards the finish for her.
Yeah, it's the downhill from control 14 to 15. It's not a lot of orienteering there. It's basically just get down to this open area and then relocate. It's not a lot of relocation work you have to do, but you will head down a little bit too much to the right, get out approximately here by this little house, and then the control's very close to there.
Yeah, she should be appearing out of the forest any moment. In fact, I think there we go. There she is. She was taking a very nice and direct line.
I don't think that's the quickest one. She stays a bit too long, has to go a bit too much through the green. She stays very close to the line, but I don't think you can run in such an attacking style as if you go a bit more to the right.
Yeah, I agree. You just kind of want to head south, straight to the edge of the field, and then like.
She has also. We saw it in the picture. She had to get down this crack. She had to stop a bit. She couldn't run full speed at that point. So I mean, the time loss won't be big, maybe 5 seconds or something. But well, every second counts.
It really will do. I think by the time we get towards the end of this race, and I think she might just drop out of second position. It's going to be very close then on this final stage of the run-in for Miliavatia. On the home soil, does just sneak into third place, and that means we've got Finns in 1, 2, and 3. Sabina Almo, Elisa Matala, and Miliavatia. Finland 1, 2, and 3 so far, as you can see, with Simonsen of Denmark in fourth place. Obviously, big teams and a good opportunity for these home runners to kind of show what they've got.
I think she lost about 15 seconds there on the last controls. Not sure that she lost everything just towards the second last one, but a bit of it. And here we have Malin Agevik Christiansen. That was
she did something strange on the way to number 1. It was very odd.
She looked way too early.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should see that again, because we just snuck a little glimpse of that as we see she go past number 10.
Obviously, she didn't have a feeling for the distance at all, and well, she was focusing a lot on sprint. I don't know how much orienteering in the forest she's done since the World Championships, but even though, I mean, she was halfway distance-wise to the control, it was way too early. We're waiting for Abby. And she lost time now because she was in the lead at 3.1 kilometers.
Interesting to see where that has come. So we're waiting at control number 13 now.
She was 1 minute ahead.
Yeah, and she's going to be close to 1 minute behind.
Yeah, let me see what she did here. Yeah, she did a mistake up the hill to control 11. That climb after the TV control, she was looking for the control too early.
So maybe dropped a little bit of height into this control as well, having to just climb up.
Yeah, she did. But the big mistake, about a minute was at 11.
Camilla Staver heading out into the forest. Very good all-round forest orienteer. Can put together some great performances, can also have some struggles. So looking for Megan Carter-Davis. This is her at control number 10. And you can see she goes equal or into second place then. But of course we know Abby is about to make a mistake. She made a mistake just after this control. So Carter-Davis in second place at the moment. Let's have a look at this mistake then. This is what happened.
Yeah, she's climbing up the hill, then looking for the control too early. That's the first of the mistakes, as you mentioned it. Then she's dropping too much here to 13. Another small mistake. And now on the way to 14. And this, at the moment, looks very good. But you can see it, she won't have a chance to beat Sabina Aumu.
Yeah, it's really hard to get that distance judgment, and you know they've just had quite a few controls going kind of down the slope. You've got to go back up the slope. It's not super steep, but you know, judging that distance right in fact, you know, that's almost like what Marlene Christensen did. Like, she just stopped too early on that uphill leg. So see if any others make that mistake. This is Sandra Grosberger at the start here, the Latvian, just looking ahead at the clock, ready to begin her race. Time ticks down and starts, so you can see the double-sided map that they've got there. Straight into checking out the first section, making the plan towards the first control. Might have a quick look at the overall shape of the course at this point as well. And across the stream and straight into the terrain. Let's have a comparison then.
Sanna Fast compared to Sabina Aumu, the leader in the finish, and Marion Abbey. See still a convenient lead here for Fast. Different routes, but looks good, well executed.
Good, yeah.
This is Marion Abbey now on the way to the finish.
Yep, so we know Marion Abbey was leading at certain points around the course. She made a mistake going in towards control number 11, small one into 13 as well, and that's what's kind of pushed her down, but she's still looking to see if she can get into third spot. I think she pushes hard on this final corner. Nearly a perfect race here for Marion Abbey, but just that mistake into number 11, and I think that's what we're going to be characteristically of the athletes today. But someone will be able to put together the perfect race. There she goes into third, 46 seconds down, so fought back a little bit at the end. We saw Almo maybe have some troubles, but there we go, into third place. Grace Malloy then on the start line took a podium spot at the World Championships, and she's about to make the move from Britain to Sweden, I believe, to Stockholm.
Now we're waiting for Sanna Fast. Yeah, should be here any seconds. Still going very, very strong.
And here she is already. Look at this. This is a fantastic race from her. You really called it earlier, Jonas. One we wanted to look out for. She was 7th in the long distance. But not so many World Cup points from other races. So it means that she starting comparatively early. And this is a really great performance from her. She just makes it look so easy going through this terrain. It's super smooth.
And now it's this control 11 waiting. There are actually quite many of the runners struggling with this one. It's a bit of a different challenge to any control before on the course. You run uphill, not straight up the hill, so you have to, it's a bit harder to keep direction then, but you should get all the marshes on the way. But we have seen many of the runners struggling there, so it will be interesting to follow Sanna Fast.
So Carter Davies into the lead at this point. That's control number 13. So the result of Marion Abbey's mistake, she jumps ahead of her and into the lead at this point. Here's Pia Youngvik.
Actually an interesting name as well, because she has been doing really, really well in the very beginning of the season when we had the first forest races in Sweden. She won one race there, a long distance, and she was second in the middle distance. Then later on, when we had this sprint focus, we didn't see that much of her. Or yeah, we saw her, but not in the same way. So it will be interesting to see if she can kind of get back now to this incredibly strong results she had in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, she's certainly a young runner who shows a lot of potential, definitely, and it's going to be really great to see how her career progresses as she, gets more experience in more different types of terrain as well. Here is Marie Katani, and she's had a great start. This is her on the way to control number 5, and she's going to be very, very close to that time of Sanna Fast. And I always think of Marika Taney as somewhat of a middle distance specialist. She does have a silver medal from the World Champs in 2018 in Latvia, and she's a former European champion in the middle distance as well. So you can see they're going 2 seconds ahead of Sanna Fast.
She is
Great result for the home runner.
Very good in this Finnish terrain. She's always very good on these relays in Finnish terrain and on the home soil. I think it's even more of an advantage for her. She's a good runner in middle distance, also in continental terrain. I mean, the European Championships she won was in Switzerland in very steep terrain. But I would say this here suits her much better.
So this is Megan Carter-Davies on the last section then of the race, just dropping down towards the field. See Hanna Wisniewska from Poland there, Miroslava Erdem, who's had a few problems on the course further back. You can see Wisniewska for maybe a top 6 as they all drop down towards the field. Pole in around the corner, very, very close to the line. Into 5th at the moment. We should be looking for Carter-Davies coming into the finish very, very shortly as well. Here she is, here's the Brit. Very difficult season for her, missing the first round of the World Cup to illness. She took a seat out in Hungary, didn't go to the European Champs, just wanted a bit of time out after a World Champs that saw a lot of pressure on her shoulders. But there you go, into the lead then, Megan Carter-Davies back in the forest. A thumbs up from the Welsh athletes. So 32.26, new leading time then for Megan Carter-Davies. Here's Ingrid Lundenez into
good
3rd
start.
place. This is also control 5.
Yeah, good start. You can see it, only 14 seconds behind Marika Taney and Sanna Fast. Sanna Fast here in the picture, coming to the last of the TV controls. And you still see behind her Kralova from Czechia has been following Sanna Fast now for a while, and as you can see, the gap is very, very big.
This is huge, 2.5 minutes. Let's see what's we're going to highlight Stava here because this is a mistake at control number 2.
It is. I mean, we see many of the runners, they run all the way up to this kind of corner from the vegetation boundary, then you know exactly where you enter the green area. Okay, you climb 5 meters too much, but in this case it would have been worth it.
So Johanna Riederfelt next to start. She was 14th in the long distance. Looking to put together another great run here in this middle distance. Straight out of the start, folding up the map, taking a look at the first route, first choice.
And they're following Sanna Fast on the way now to the second last control, so she's now dropping down. There's not a lot of orienteering to do from here, and this is actually an incredibly good run. She's been in top 3 once before in Česká Lípa in the middle distance, and I wouldn't be surprised if that would be, this result could be close to that performance again, because we haven't seen any mistake by Sanna Fast.
Yeah, she looks like she's just had an absolutely pretty flawless run, to be honest. She's made it look so easy. You can see she's striding out there, clearly got so much energy. And again, look at that time. That is absolutely fantastic here from Sanna Fast. And yeah, I think her time could really, really stack up with some of the later runners as well. She just looks to have been so smooth through the terrain and crucially not making any mistakes, any hesitations, just spiking all the controls. Now she's got to work hard for the seconds because She knows there's some fast runners coming later on in the start list, but this is going to be a huge, huge lead here for the Swede. A fantastic, fantastic run. Nearly 3 minutes quicker than anyone else. And Sanne Fast, 29:45. Sanne Fast is the new leader. Incredible stuff.
And I mean, we have seen a very, very good race by Sanne Fast, but at the same time, we still know that Marika Teini has been at the first TV control a little bit quicker. Ingrid Lundenes has been there almost the same time. So there will be many of the runners that can possibly do a race like this, but you have to do it on every control to the finish. And I'm not sure how many of the runners will manage to do this, and now we have seen almost a perfect race here by Sanne Fast, so that's very interesting for the competition. See it here, it's a head-to-head with Marika Teini. Just a bit more straight, very distinct in her orienteering, and just in those two controls I think she made about 20 seconds of a difference.
So this is Camilla Stava. She's on her way to the 5th control, but we saw already, in fact, I think we're still catching up with her towards the 4th control. First of all, she really had some struggles at the 2nd control. There's number 4. So will have lost a lot of time due to that. But actually, other than that, she's moving quite well. I think all of her time loss will have come from the mistake rather than from any kind of speed or anything like that. And yeah, it's just, she's got so much potential, but we've seen a few times, especially at the European Championships, just some quite big mistakes creeping in to what otherwise would have been a good run. But into 8th place, 64 seconds slower than our current leader at that point. So back to the start, Caroline Olsen took a silver medal in the knockout sprint at the World Championships. But really is a good all-round orienteer as well. And ready to start off her race. Didn't have the best drive result on Thursday. 50 seconds way down for her in the long distance, in a very kind of familiar style. And
I mean,
she's head straight out into the terrain.
She definitely has the speed and the technique to do a good race here. Sometimes it's more about her head, her mental, how she is like tackling the challenge mentally, because she's so good, but sometimes she's always a bit too motivated. She wants too much, and then she's attacking too much at places where you shouldn't be attacking. And it will be interesting to see how she manages this challenge here, because basically if you look at the map, you can be attacking at every point, but as soon as you get a warning signal from your head, you have to be very, very careful. And here in the picture you see now Lundenes going all the way around, very, very much around. I mean, she's not climbing 1 meter here. You can do that, but I would say if you go around to the right, invest in about 5 to 10 meters climbing, stay a bit closer to the line. Yes,
I think she'll lose time here, definitely. Yeah, we've seen that compared to some of the others that they've lost time here. So, yeah, because she's very, very close up with the leaders. But no, this is definitely a route choice that's not going to go her way. This is Paula Gross here on the start line.
Paula Gross had a great run at the European Championships. Finished 5th there. And then also she injured her leg on the way to the finish, so but very, very good in this race.
So this is a fight out then between Marika Teini and Sanne Fast for the lead. You can see Marika Teini still dropping here. She's still on her way to the 9th control, so actually lost a bit of time compared to Sanne Fast. We can see that on the GPS tracking, where she lost the time kind of around 6-7, so not quite as quick as the Swede here. But you can see just the kind of pace these athletes are able to kind of keep as they drop down here into this control. Got some company, of course, here as well.
We saw how big of a difference it makes if you're not that distinct in your orienteering anymore. If you just take the foot a little bit from the gas, you lose 10 to 20 seconds directly. And that happened to Marika Taini there at control 6 and 7.
Yeah, but keeping the foot on the gas here, all of them making a good, well, I think Marika Taini probably making the best change of direction there. Super smooth. And we'll see them all climbing up the hill here. Here they all are, 3 of them. And again, look at that, bang on the line here from Marika Taini.
Yeah, she was a bit too far to the right coming to control 8. I mean, it's almost no mistake at all, but compared to Sanna Fast, it is some extra meters. You could see it to control 7. She was not 100% on the line.
And we have to be that picky, right? You know, about, yeah.
It's a minute. That's the effect is a minute, so it's not just small things. Of course, it's isolated. Here we see it very clearly. She goes a bit further into the green, makes a little bit of an extra curve in order to get to see the stones. Maybe not as quick here in the uphill. You can see that she's losing physically. Then a little bit off direction to 8, and you can see how the gap is kind of growing and growing all the time. Fast was incredibly quick in the uphill as well.
Yeah, incredibly quick, incredibly accurate. That's what you need to do the whole way around this course. That's why Sanna Fast is leading with such a good position, a good time. Pia Ljungvik then here, the Norwegian. I think she's caught up Grace Malloy, you can see there in the background, and great start here for the Norwegian. You mentioned her great races she had at the beginning of the season, and yeah, looks like she's done a great job here.
Yeah, definitely good start. Within 10 seconds compared to Marika Taini, 8 seconds behind Sanna Fast. Well, that's a very good start indeed.
Yeah, those are the standings at our first TV split. So control number 5. We've just seen Pia Ljungvik going through, punching that control there. Now let's have a look. And I guess we're looking at Olsen here. Yeah,
it's not a very... I said it in the very beginning when we took a look on the map. You can't take this re-entrant there. Just invest. It's maybe 1 or 2 seconds you have to invest. Go a bit more to the right compared to the re-entrant. It points exactly into the direction of the control.
But do you think she maybe made a parallel error and she thought she was in the right of the re-entrance and she was actually in the left one? I wonder if there was a parallel error.
That's possible, but then you should notice that you get out of the green on the top of the... when you get distance-wise, when you are at the level of the control, so...
Interesting. Well, here's Ingrid Lundenes. Of course, she went round towards control number 8. Into 4th place, 1:39 down on the leading time of Sanna Fast. This is the full list there. So you can see quite close still to Marika Taini, who we can factor in, and obviously ahead of Megan Carter-Davies, currently in 2nd at the finish. And then looking further back, quite a lot of athletes very, very close together if we think about the top 20 through at this point. And now we're live with Pia Ljungvik, and you can see, again, a pretty good direction in here, but just maybe not quite as distinct as Sanna Fast,
yeah, but
certainly just a few seconds behind.
But I think that's okay. I mean, she gets a bit low, but we're very picky if we say that this isn't well executed. She gets even help of that small track there, so she should exactly know where she is. I mean, this is very well executed, and you can see that the gap, I guess it's still around those 10 seconds that it was at control 5. Now we're waiting for Ines Berche. Looks like an okay start. Usually she says herself that she is starting a bit slower into the races in order to get a good feeling, and then turns up the speed a little bit. Lost 1 minute here. Let's see
Yeah, I
if
think she was slightly high on the way into control 4, not as quite as
she was.
distinct.
I think she would have been about 35 seconds behind otherwise.
Yeah, great start from the young Swiss. This is Marika Taney into second place at control number 13. Still in that group, and this is the synchronized head-to-head comparison.
You can still see. You can still see. I mean, they were on the same route. They were both on the lines on a fast. No mistake by Taney, but you can see that the gap is growing fast. It was just a little bit quicker in the uphill again. She was already towards control 8. Now again, so physically and technically, almost a perfect race.
Okay, we're waiting at control number 5, looking for Johanna Riedefeld. She should be here any second. There we go. See the blue and yellow coming through into the picture here. Into 5th place. Not a bad start. This is Camilla Staver. Catching up with her on her way. Must be, on her way to control 9. She's dropping down into control 9 here on a boulder. Then we'll climb up towards the open rock, which is where we have the time check.
She was exactly a minute 1:04 behind at the first TV control. Missing another couple of seconds here. It's not, the time is not taken here. It's the next control. That's the where we get the intermediate time for her.
So climbing up the slope here, you can see how the visibility kind of changes. I mean, it's always, you get much less visibility when you have the running camera, but you've got some taller trees, some smaller trees, and real kind of change in characteristics at times here. I think we can see her. Here she comes. And still, you know, managed to recover from that mistake at number 2. Still a pretty good time from there on in.
Just from control 9 to 10. She lost another 10 seconds. So only on this 25 seconds of running time, 30 seconds. She was not 100% accurate with direction. That makes a big difference.
Well, let's take Marika Taney in towards the finish. Such a middle distance pro. The European title in the past in that one, but she's not going to take the lead here. Maybe dropping a little bit more time compared to kind of fast. Shows what an amazing run that was. But she is going to slot into second place, going ahead of Carter Davis. Pushing hard here. Just, you know, we're having to be super picky about these races because there's so little in it. Just a few small parts where she was left or right, and just taking a few extra meters compared to the current leader, but still a great run. And Taney into second, 1.5 minutes behind Stana Fast across the line. And a good effort there by Taney on this very quick course. I think that's Mia Nittinen.
Mia Nittinen, indeed, and to the first TV control, you can see it 33 seconds behind. It's a good start.
Oh, look at that. That's a great graphic there on the screen. Just shows you how much time Lindenez has lost compared to Fast. 1:07 by going around the slope, going so much further, but avoiding the climb.
It's both, it's further and it's much more difficult to get to the control because if you come from above, you have a hill on the red line, you have a re-entrant before the control. It's much easier to tackle the control from above.
So Caroline Alston on her way to control number 4 at the moment, dropping down the slope. We saw she had a few problems, just kind of going up to the left of the line, maybe a parallel error to the first control. But now dropping into fourth here, using this bare rock as a help. You can tell others have kind of gone this way and had a bit more control. Yeah, exactly. She's really starting to look for this.
She's very close. I mean, she was hesitating. She was perfectly on the line. There was a bare rock. Then she could see the stones. So a bit surprising that she is hesitating. At the same time, of course, if she feels that she is not 100% sure if she's right or not, then she has to brake. And she did that here. So the time loss here by her hesitation was about 1 or 2 seconds. So
yeah, but if you've made obviously a mistake on the first control, you just want to, you know, you can see how that knocks your confidence, and you're going to put in some hesitations later on in the course as well. But still into 8th place, equal 8th with Velisa Matala, and dropping down now on the way to control number 6. Let's have a look at Lundinez. You can see that over a minute lost by the route choice for her.
And it's a pity. It would have been a great run otherwise. I mean, she's 2 minutes behind. It was only 1 minute, 1 minute only on that one single control. And well, if she would come to the finish here around a minute behind Sanna Fast, that would have been incredibly good. So good run still for Ingrid Lundanes, I would say, especially when you think back to the race on Thursday where she didn't succeed in order to get a good technical race. So this was much, much better today.
Maya Sienaya out of the start, 11th place on Thursday's long distance. And we saw, you know, in general, across both the women's and the men's races, as we might expect, the Finns doing very, very well. So Pia Ljungvik then is descending in towards control number 9.
And interesting here is that, I mean, she was together with Grace Malloy that we have seen earlier. They went on different routes to control 8, but if we would just turn the camera a short while, she is still there. So there was no difference if you go straight through the green or a bit around to the right, as long as you're not going as far to the right as Ingrid Lundanes.
So very close towards this 9th control now.
Maybe dropping a little bit too far, but getting to the control in a good way.
And after 23 minutes of running, I think not many are going to take a drink on there. Just going to keep attacking up this slope. So we watch for Pia Ljungvik.
Yeah, but I mean, she lost about 80 seconds from the first TV control to this one. And she was 10 seconds behind at TV1. She didn't do any mistake, basically.
So this is Pia Ljungvik, who's caught Grace Malloy, and both of them have caught Sandra Grosberger, who's the 3rd runner in that picture. This looks like Anna Dukorn.
Yes.
Dropping into the 4th control.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good start.
Great
Dukorn.
start.
She won't take over the lead, but she's close to it. Paula Gross
punches first, and she should be coming here.
She will be caught by Dukorn. You can see very, very good start for the Norwegian. I mean, she has a 4th place in both the World Championships and the European Championships 2022. I mean, the European Championships 2022, the World Championships last year.
Camilla Staver to the finish. Looking maybe for a top 3. Getting lots of cheers then here. She's going to be she's been pre-warned with the time very close to that of Ingrid Lundanes. Fighting hard here. Again, as I said, most of that time lost right at the very start of the course at control number 2, and then just a few seconds here and there compared to Sanne Fast. So still a pretty good run here for the Norwegian. Around the corner, she's not going to be faster than Lundenes in the end, and into 4th place. So 2 minutes down then on the leader on Sanne Fast. Teresa Roturier, the Czech athlete, actually based in Finland. Has been based in Finland for a few years now. A lot of experience there. I think she's had some injury problems though in the latter half of this season. And she was in 17th in the long distance. Going to want to put together a good run here on what is kind of home terrain for her.
I think we're waiting now for Ines Berger, and then just a few seconds behind, actually more interesting, Johanna Riedefeld. So this is Ines Berger. But as you can guess, when I say that it's more interesting with Riedefeld, it's not the best race. Still okay for Ines Berger, a very young runner. But this runner here now in 2nd position. It's 24 seconds behind at the first TV control. Now it's 43. Guess it's more or less the physical ability that makes a difference here. Yeah, different route choices as well. It's interesting.
Yeah, it worked out well for her though, actually, on that one.
It's
at least compared to the chasing runners. Maybe not compared to Sanne Fast, but certainly compared to
but I don't think it matters so much. It's just a little bit more difficult to execute it perfectly if you go through the green.
Eveli Karsaku next. To top 10 in the long distance on Thursday. Obviously, great result from middle distance European Championships as well on her home European Championships. Has really become a great forest orienteer over the last few seasons. And then we are waiting at control 13. It's that group of Pia Young-Vik, Grace Malloy, Sandra Grossberger as well. Vic is quickest, here she is.
They didn't have the best route to 11. They were a bit far to the left up that hill. I mean, it's not really a mistake, but it's again a few meters they did, which you wouldn't have to do.
So Mia Nittinen on her way to control number 9. You can see already behind her, we didn't get the actual time check until control number 10.
She has quite much to go still. She was 33 seconds behind at the first TV control. You can see it's 55 at the moment. There will be another 25 seconds, I guess. I don't think there will be many of the runners, of the athletes, drinking at that refreshment point today. The race is only 30 minutes.
No, well, maybe some people who got a bit lost near the start, but I don't think any of these lot at all. Here she comes, and it'll be quite close to Lundenes, I guess. We'll save her.
Now Keep an eye on Hornick on the way to third control. She is on that spur there, but she doesn't really drop down to the right, so she follows it too far down, then gets almost to the open area, has to turn. And now I think we are waiting for Johanna Riedefeld. Here she is. Interesting actually, because these two runners, they have been running together at the European Championships in the final, but then back then it was Berger that caught Riedefeld. Now it's the other way around. Good. Still a very good race by Riedefeld.
They're actually catching time on the
closer
fast,
again.
I think, as well. Yeah.
10 seconds quicker between 10 and 13.
But let's take Pia Young-Vik then towards the finish. She's going to be outside the top 3, but you can see this young athlete developing, getting more consistent, and obviously will have a big confidence boost catching both Malloy and Rosberger. So coming round the corner now into the top 6. A great result there from the Norwegian. One of those wanting to get lots of experience at World Cup level. And Venla Harju out of the start then. The best performing Finn in the women's race on the long distance a couple of days ago. 5th place for her. Then a comparison, another mistake from Olsen.
Then not going on the quickest route. This is very much the Lundenas way. Riedefeld should be at the third to last control very soon, but let's take Sunes on to the first split first. Lost a lot of time though. She did a mistake at control 3 as well, and I think already at second control 2.
Yeah, and only 2.5 minutes down, but into the 30s there. This looks like Olsen.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, on her way to the 10th. So obviously seeing that mistake around, what was it, control 7 for her, and 3 minutes down at the moment.
And now we should get Riedefeld to the finish. There she is.
Yep, you said it. There she goes with alongside Ines Berger, and just fighting hard. These two seeing a lot of each other, but this is the quicker one here, Johanna Riedefeld. And should go into second place here. To put it, Sweden 1 and 2 at the finish. Great performance from her today. And just over the 30-minute mark, being cheered on in towards the finish line itself.
I mean, it was very much the same. Yeah, very much the same story as for Sanna Fast. A good race throughout almost the whole course. Just Sanna Fast a bit better today physically. But I mean, those this time by Riedefeld, this is gonna be a good time in the end as well. She will end up in a good position here. And I think we are waiting for Anne Dyrkorn. So now this for Sianoja.
Yeah,
Sianoja.
Sianoja on her way to control 5. I thought we might be looking for Nittinen, who's also on her way to 13. So spoilt for choice for Finns at the moment. And actually behind Sianoja, Kalondri has had a bit of a mare towards control number 3, going far too far left, dropping too low as well. And should be seeing I wonder if we're going to wait here. No, we're going to skip to control 10.
Dyrkon should come to this control together with Paula Gross still, but they lost time. Dyrkon was only 5 seconds behind.
Yeah, I think you can tell Sanafast's uphill speed was just really good, and actually she's really great at executing a couple of what looks on paper to be fairly straightforward controls, 6 and 7, and she just nailed those.
We were not waiting for Dyrkon, actually. This is Marie Olausen we had in the picture to the first TV control, and she had the new best time there, 11:49, which is 35 seconds quicker. You can see it here.
And you know what she did? That was on that route choice to control 3. She just stayed a bit more left in the slope, didn't go quite as high as the others, and avoided a bit of the green and used the slope really, really well into that third control.
Well done. 35 seconds is quite the difference, but you've seen most of the other runners lost 30 or more seconds between 7 and 8 compared to Sanafast. Will be interesting to follow this one. But just to make the story complete, so far on the Dyrkon was at the TV control 1 minute and 16 seconds behind, so she lost 70 seconds from the first to the second TV control. Is now in 5th position there.
Mia Nittinen dropping into the finish. You can see actually already some tracks out there in the forest on the way down towards the field. This is the 15th control, a couple more to go here. And Mia Nittinen very shortly into the finish itself. Just dropping small amounts of time here and there. Possibly outside the top 6 at the finish. Lots of cheers for the home runner. And round towards the finish line. Good job this one. Probably not as good as going to end up being as good as her long distance race where she was 10th, but into 7th place at the moment. Let's see again then Olausen's route choice.
So keep an eye on Kasiku as well, but here that's what you mentioned. She was using this terrace, got a good entrance, got a very flat bit there in the middle section. Kasiku too far to the right, too far to the north, approaching that control. Now she has to be careful. We're live now with Kasiku. She has to be careful in order to drop to the left.
She's clearly, because she's she's kind of in comparison with Fast and Olausen, and actually what she's also got to be careful of is what you can't see on here, which is that she's meeting Teresa Roturier in the forest.
On the way out.
Both of them well, I'm not sure she's got it either though, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
So we'll see what happens.
But I mean, it can't be the plan of Kasiku to get where she is. There's no way that she plans to do that. So that's why I say it's she's in a dangerous position. I think that Roturier got control over the situation now, and Kasiku is able to turn back. I think now they punched the control. So here is Dyrkon and Paula Gross.
Yeah, this is control 13. To the control itself in 4th place. Of course, we saw just a picture there of Alexanderson at the start. She is the second to last starter. She took the win a couple of days ago. She's the world champion in this middle distance. Was 4th place at the European Championships a month ago or so. And she's had a bit of an up and down season. to be honest, and that's put her in the second place in the World Cup standings overall.
Something we can mention as well is that due to the fact that Natalia Gempele dropped out the competition due to a sickness, we have a 4-minute interval between Ambeline Benjaminsen and Tove Alexandersson.
Yeah, so if she catches up, I mean, that would be insane if she catches up over such a short course, but you never know. Here's Karsaku and Roturier. Still getting his surname. A minute lost.
The mistake was about a minute, yeah.
Olsen into the finish. 11th place for her. Quite a few mistakes in there in the forest.
So the Frenchmen are in the first place. Luca Passeca is in the second place at the finish. When Antoine Pecard has punched on the second.
And here is the last starter, Simona Abersold. She needs to come 23rd or better to win the World Cup overall. And I don't know, does that put more pressure on you, knowing you've got such a big margin? What do you reckon, Jonas?
Look at her result list. I don't know when it was last time she was 23rd. I mean, she's pretty safe in that situation. She shouldn't be thinking about. There shouldn't be any fear for the challenge today. I think she's gonna build in a few extra seconds safety, but she will still be fighting for a top 3 today. I think it's gonna be difficult to win it because, yeah, if you just build in a few seconds of safety, that might be just a few seconds too much, but it doesn't matter. For her, it won't matter if she ends up 5th today or 7th or 8th. She just wants to win the overall World Cup for the first time.
Yes, and put an end to Tove Alexandersson's 9 times in a row as well. Tove Alexandersson has to win it, by the way, to be in with a chance of winning. If Tove Alexandersson doesn't win, it doesn't matter where Simona Abersold comes. So lots still to play for. Tove Alexandersson has to win it for it to matter where Simona Abersold finishes. Ducor, though, in towards the finish. Mentioned a couple of 4th places in the distance championships for her already, and showing that she's great at this discipline. On the final corner now, has had some great results in her career already so far. Just needs to build in a bit more consistency, and we'll see her much later in the start list, I am sure. Like
Hesta Björnstad. Interesting. I mean, she's still very good in the overall World Cup, but her best results definitely in sprint. Her best result in the middle distance is 16th position.
This is Venla Hayu, much better start for her. See, she's going to be ahead of Taney. Remember, our leader at the finish, still Sanne Fast. So she's gone ahead of Sanne Fast. Good compared to Olausson, who's also basically a great route choice into the 3rd control. Let's have a look then at some of the starters already.
At Alexandersson, she took that spur as kind of a line towards the control, and then there's the risk that you get a bit far to the left. The others, they took the re-entrant. It's much closer. It's a direct line to the control, a bit more safe. I mean, the mistake here, not a big one, 10 or 15 seconds. So no real damage happened so fast. But interesting now to follow Marie Olausson. She was in a clear lead at the first TV control. And on the way now to control 9. And then the TV split at 10.
Yeah, just passing by the tag there, I think, possibly on the map, and really close towards the 9th control itself. We get the time check at 10.
She was
this looks very
37
good, I think.
seconds ahead of Sanna Fast. Might be a bit less now. But still,
And when we saw Sanna
would
Fast,
say,
she was really good on the climbs, though, actually,
Yeah.
wasn't she? So
yeah, but I mean, it should still be around 20-25 seconds for Marie Olausen, and I mean, she doesn't lose 20-25 seconds physically up to control 11.
So Sienaya there through in 7th. She's about to drop to 8th, though, because Olausen is going to go into the lead. 20 seconds lead at the moment. Just the 20 seconds at control number 10. Looks very good, though. Maintaining a good position. Ooh, if you've got the GPS tracking up alongside you, I'd suggest you have a little look at control number 7 at the moment. Another mistake there from Kostaku and Victoria.
And have a look at the picture now, because Hanna Lundberg opened great here into this race. Now the new leader at the first TV control, 6 seconds ahead of Marie Olausen.
And she as well went a little bit left of the line to control number 3, quite similar to Olausen. And so, yeah, she's had a great start. Benjaminsen, though, on her way to control number 4, she went a bit more direct on the line here. But actually, it's looking
a good start here.
Very
yeah,
similar time to Lundberg, actually. She's had a great start.
She has a very good start. Looks very distinct as well. The stone here, I've seen that quite many times. Many of the athletes use it as the attack point towards the control. So we should have Benjaminsen to this TV control just within a few seconds. Here, no, that's not her. There she is.
Yep, and she does have a lead, 9 seconds. And then actually, I was just looking on the GPS tracking, and there's a big gap between Benjaminsen and Alexanderson. I was going, what's happened? And then you've already told us there's a 4-minute
so
gap.
So look at
between
Kaziku now. On the right way, almost. I don't know what she thought where she is. She gets to a big stone.
Oof.
And then really dropping down the hill. She was together with Roturier on the way into control 7. Roturier got control over the situation quicker, but also a big mistake for Teresa.
Yeah, that's a long way down. I wonder if she got to the boulder, thought it was the boulder to the west of the control, dropped down a bit more.
That's what I thought in the beginning as well, but then she dropped very, very much, so she must have thought that she's on a totally different place.
Yeah, I think so. Those are the standings at the finish. You can see it is Sanna Fast still in the lead, 29.45. Johanna Riedefeld in second, Marika Taney in third, but we've got quite a few women who are going quicker than Sanna Fast at the moment. Sven Lahayu, Maria Olausen, Hanna Lundberg and Andrina Benjaminsen. Of course, we've had the last 2 starters through to our first TV control yet. Let's compare then the last 3 starters.
Yeah. So Abersold against Alexandersson, much better start for Abersold. Good control taking to number 2. We know that Benjaminsen in the lead at the moment at the TV control. And I would say that's maybe half a minute between Abersold and Alexandersson, maybe a bit less, 25 seconds.
Wouldn't it be fantastic to see Benjaminsen get her first World Cup win? She's been on the heels, so many third places this season. But we're waiting for Maria Olausen. We're waiting at control number 13. And remember, she was so quick on the early stages. Great route choice into control 3, very attacking. And Sienaya is here. And so here we go. Here is Olausen.
It would actually also be the first World Cup victory for Marie Olausen. Still 20 seconds. I think it was 20 seconds at the previous TV control as well.
So yeah, lots of really clean runs here. Means it could be very, very tight in the end. Maybe Alexanderson has actually gone through quite a bit of green on this section.
It's hard to say how much it slows you down, because I guess there'd be quite a few runners in that green before.
And she's so strong when it comes to the terrain. It's like green has no effect on her running speed.
Yeah, and you can see it here. I mean, this there's green to the left here. It doesn't slow you down too much.
So she's on her way to control number 4.
Yeah, but she will definitely be behind Benjaminsen still.
Yep, there's the 4th control.
So another 25 seconds to the next one, maybe.
This is where we get the time check. As you said, about 25 seconds. Spot on there. So I'm going to take the punch here into the 4th place. 30 seconds down. And remember, Alexanderson needs to win this in order to give her any chance of winning the World Cup overall title.
I think actually that she gets a bit closer compared to Abersold, at least at this point, between control 2 and 3. But still, I mean, Abersold is still up there within the top 3 at the moment. And every control she takes without the big mistake is taking her much, much closer towards this overall victory.
So what can Maria Olausson do then here? She's had a fantastic run, and catching up Maja Sienoja is no mean feat, and she's going to come into the lead here, I'm sure of it. Sanne Fast has been sitting on that leader's chair for so long, and this time is still looking good when you look back at the later starters as well. So Olausson around the final bend here. 2 of these athletes getting lots of support, and she's very close to the line. It's going to be a new lead. 29 minutes and 25 seconds.
I have to be honest, I thought that Sanne Fast would end up within the top 3. I thought the 2 beating her would be Abersold and Alexanderson, but now we have Olausson there as well. A very good race by Maria Olausson, I have to say.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. You see Abersold only 5 seconds ahead of her at that point, 10 seconds down on the lead. So Benjaminsen looking good there. And this is the standings. So obviously we've seen everybody through this point at control number 5. At that point, Sanne Fast down in 8th place. So Benjaminsen, Lundberg up there, Abersold as well. Very, very close at that point of the competition. Still early days. Venla Haju on her way to control 10. So Olausson, our new leader at the finish, still in the lead at this point. See how well her time is stacking up. And Venla Haju will be in 2nd place. Ahead of Wiedefeld. Sorry, in 3rd place. So, and behind Sanne Fast. This is Hannah Lundberg here on her way towards the 9th control. And let's have a look at the comparisons then. This is proving quite an interesting leg, this 7 to 8. Lundberg in a good position at that point. Looking bit of a wiggly line,
Yeah,
and
was
actually
it
dropping a
was
bit low
too
there
low.
into that control. Yeah. Not the best into that point. So this is Hannah Lundberg, not Alexanderson, as you can see on the screen, and we get her time check at the next control. Of course, the Swede does have a middle distance win on from Idre in Sweden in the World Cup, and we see if she's going to go and overtake Olausson here. It's very, very close between the two. Of course, a small, just slightly too low into control number 9. Very, very close then. Just the 2 seconds down. Climbing up the slopes here. In some ways, it's quite a similar terrain, like that kind of big round hill that she won her first title on. Kind of similar controls, kind of not loads of features in the terrain. Very interesting. And if you look here, see Benjaminsen taking quite a round route to control number 8, and I thought it was going to drop her back quite a lot, but it actually hasn't. I'm surprised.
That's what I said before. I don't think it matters so much what they do, but you have to be very distinct executing it. We have seen that before. The runners who lost time, they were not executing the leg chosen good, or then they were running too far around. So Benjamin's now on the way to the 9th control, the refreshment points.
Of course, we saw Lundberg too low into that one. Much better executed there by the Norwegian, and yes, she's going to surely go into the lead again here at control number 10. Looking into the forest for her now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big gap between Benjaminsen and Olausson. It's not a big gap between Olausson and
No. And actually, the next control is quite interesting. We've seen quite a few people make mistakes onto this 11th control. Let's have a look here. Look at Abersold.
That's not a good direction. I think she wanted to head out of the green in order to not risk anything. You can see that she didn't lose that much time, but if we look at the results at the moment at the splits, as we just mentioned, see that it's very, very tight, and a few seconds here as she does on the control again. A few seconds on the way to the 6th control might be too much in the end to win it, but well, top 23 she should be able to do anyway.
Yeah, she should. And just too low into that 7th control again. And Lahayu maintaining her position in 3rd place as she goes round the course, but Lundberg and Benjaminsen chasing though, and this is live with Benjaminsen here, and a very strange direction going up out of the control. Lundberg was
Actually,
much closer on the line, and this is interesting here.
For me,
she's not correcting.
And for me that this must be a mistake, because you don't plan to run up there. So what I think is that when she passed that stone there, she thinks that it's the stone where we have the L of Lundberg continuing a bit, so she thinks that she's running just at the red line. I'm quite sure this is gonna end in a mistake. Yeah. Now she's at this crack there. If she's very lucky, she will be able to notice the mistake of direction. Fortunately, we lost the connection to the GPS exactly at this point.
That's very tricky. You can see she's following up on the right-hand side of her re-entrant, which is kind of what you would be doing-ish if you were on the line itself. But yeah, tricky.
Yeah, but I would say it's definitely she's out from the fight for the victory. It will be more than a 20 seconds mistake. But here, Hannah Lundberg,
oh my goodness.
well, that's
Same
what I
time.
call close. Yeah.
We've got Benjaminson's GPS back in the shot, and she's still making a mistake. She hasn't quite realised yet, still going up the slope. That's going to read it. But Venlahayu is looking, I think, for third place at the moment, as she kind of throws herself down this slope, one of the steeper parts of the map here, very stony as you can see as well. Lots of crags too, you've got to go down, and just on her way towards the field and the final few stages as well. She'll pop out of the forest somewhere here. I think going quite direct line. There you can see her, just the other side of the pond, over this bare rock here, straight down the spur towards the control. We've got Katherine Bett in the back of the picture as well, but we're focusing on Venlahayu. She is the quickest of all of these here. And now just the last control to go for the Finn. She's got a couple of bronze medals at the World Champs in this discipline, in this middle distance. But at the moment looking for a bronze medal position, with faster runners though behind her, maybe a top 6 in the end. And working hard here, followed by the 2 runners that she's caught. You can see her just taking this corner quite precariously and in across the line towards the finish. Third place then for Venlahayu. Congratulated by Eveli Karsaku, Heista Bjonsad and Roturier there. Lots of runners together.
And here
Here's
we can see
Alexanderson.
Alexanderson, she was able to turn around the race. Now she is in the lead at the TV control, 6 seconds ahead of Benjaminsen, but Benjaminsen lost about a minute on the mistake to control 11.
Let's take Lundberg to the end. Remember, she was exactly the same time as the leader, as Olausson at the 13th control. So she needs a good sprint finish here. And we'll see what she's able to do. Look at those 27 seconds now to count towards the line. The speaker in the arena will be getting excited. So too will her fellow teammates cheering her in towards the finish. And it's going to be super, super tight here. She's running out of time, running out of seconds. Olausson and Lundberg, they will be 1 and 2, but in which order? And I think it's going to be advantage to the Norwegian here. Too many seconds to go, as the Norwegian just has executed the end, and there she is. She's late now. So Lundberg into second place here.
But still, I mean, this is a good performance. She struggled a lot in parts of the season. She struggled a lot with the results she got at the World Championships. Then she didn't have the best race at the European Championships, and this World Cup week now definitely step into the right direction. Step into the wrong direction. We had from Benjaminsen out from control 10 to 11. You can see it now. It's still an okay race. She's still in position 4, half a minute behind.
To be honest, I'm amazed that she's only half a minute behind, because that really is quite incredible that she's made. I think from the mistake that hopefully we'll see again on the GPS tracking, for her only to be half a minute behind is super strong.
Here we have Abersol, 37 seconds behind in 5th position. So will be difficult for her to win this race, but if nothing very special happens, she will end up as the winner of the overall World Cup.
Yeah, she doesn't need to win it to be able to win overall, as we follow Benjaminsen down towards the field, dropping out onto the grass here.
Yeah, I mean, we can say that down to position 23 at the moment. I think it's a gap of 4.5 minutes, so she would need to do a 4-minute mistake here.
Benjaminsen then into the field, and she's been so close on this run. It was a fantastic run, apart from control number 11. and where she dropped to be 30 seconds down. And I wonder, without that, would it have been her best ever result at a World Cup? I mean, who knows? It's all orienteering so many ifs, what ifs, and everything like that. But certainly making that quite a devastating mistake at control number 11 will push her out of the top 3 at this stage. So incredible to work her way back from that. Who ends up in 4th. It's a case of what could have been there for the Norwegian. So only 2 to go. Here's one of them. This is Tove Alexandersen at control number 13. And look at that, 49 seconds ahead now. Just she's able to kind of be able to push on the accelerator. Let's see how she was able to do it then. Alexandersen in green, going very direct here.
She goes straight here. You can see well executed Lundberg, kind of crossing the line again. Unnecessary meters she does there. Abersold a bit dropping behind. It feels as if she is running at 97%, dropping a little bit behind, but she's not that far off of the times from Lundberg, and you can see that she is going to overtake Benjaminsen at this point. But Alexandersen seems to do what she needs to do.
Yep, she's done. You know, she needed to win this race in order to give herself any chance of winning the overall World Cup. She is going to do exactly that as she drops down towards control 15, drops down towards the field. Seems to find the greenest, the steepest slopes on her way, but will drop down. We'll see her coming out of the field very, very shortly. And yeah, she's done all she needed to do despite that mistake at control number 1. She did the rest of the course very, very well. But Abersold is had a careful and a steady race. So she's still going to have to make a huge, huge mistake to not win overall. Looking for the Swede then. Here she is, straight out onto the control. And now just running to go on the final stages of this last individual race of the World Cup. If she were to have won this one, it would have been 10 World Cup titles in a row, but it's going to be denied by will surely be denied by a very consistent season by Mona Abersold. I don't want to say it too soon. Anything could happen. It's orienteering, but Alexandersen is going to come here and end this individual season with a win, setting up, of course, a World Championships next year in this similar terrain in Kuopio in Finland, and a big lead in the end for Alexandersen, nearly a minute ahead of Olausen.
And I mean,
into 3rd place.
It's fair to say that Alexandersen is going to win this race. Behind, you can say that Abersold is getting closer and closer to Olausen and Lundberg. She is at the last TV control. She's only 3 seconds behind Olausen and Lundberg. So maybe, I mean, if she gets another 2nd position, it would be the worst result in her World Cup season, because she has been second, first, second, and 2nd so far.
There you go, 4th there, but only a couple of seconds slower, as you said, than Olausen and Lundberg. And in the pink is Abersold, so you can see the comparison, just you can see the gap that Alexandersen has on the rest of the field. But Abersold, she nails this last section, she nails the descent as well, and those last few meters, she could still end up with a whole season of 1sts and 2nds. So only a couple more minutes to wait now.
And I mean, it's definitely an advantage compared to Olausen. I would say that Lundberg was a little bit ahead, but Lundberg behind Olausen in the finish. So there is a possibility for Abersold to get into that 2nd spot.
And look, she's got a good track actually here down towards the field. You can kind of see it there. She's able to keep a good, strong kind of running position here. And you can see she's kind of following other people's footsteps. You've seen quite a few people come down this route, haven't you? You can see it on the ground as well.
Tracked up a little bit.
Definitely tracked up. She's going to approach to the right of the control. She'll turn left here, and we'll see. So she's already going to be late. She's not going to take the win. That is confirmed then here, but she's got 54 seconds to make it into the second place and keep that incredible record. Well, she needed 23rd or better to be able to take this title.
But she will do that.
She's gone quite a lot better than that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
no
but she's
problem.
going to take the second spot here. That's good enough for sure.
And she really deserves this World Cup victory overall. Look at that beaming smile on her face. She's just stepped it up one more notch this season and had one of the most consistent performances I think I've ever seen in orienteering, as you mentioned it. First and second throughout the whole of the World Cup series. She can punch the air, and she's going to take the overall World Cup title. She will be so delighted with that, and a second place to round it all off. She's made such a big leap this season, even already having been a fantastic orienteer, and she just feels like she's never really put a foot wrong, and she's so deserves this, isn't she?
So impressive. Second is the worst result in the World Cup season. That's one thing, but I'm very impressed by her performance today. It's very easy that if you have to just be top 23, you start to put in a few extra seconds every now and then, that it makes you kind of or it makes your orienteering worse than it usually is at full speed. And I mean, she had a few problems throughout the course where she wasn't 100% correct towards control 6. She was a little bit off direction. 7-8 wasn't maybe the best execution we have seen, but overall it was a very, very good performance. And I mean, she needed to be top 23. She ended up second again. Very, very good.
And she's just too much of an experienced orienteer to be able to let that, the mental kind of side and the pressure of that, knowing that you really ought to win it, making sure that didn't get to her too much at all, and kind of corrected those mistakes that she'd made in the end. I mean, we were talking beforehand, would she end up making like a minute or a couple of mistakes, ending up down somewhere like 12th, where she was the world champs middle distance race last year? But no, she's too good, and that just shows her step up this year, I think.
You can say that was my guess, actually. I thought that she would do one mistake and then but it would still be good enough. But I also have to say I'm very impressed by Tove Alexandersson. She needed to win this, and she did it with 47 seconds gap. Generally, the whole race here, it's such a tight race. You were not allowed to do any mistakes, basically, in order to be in the top 3, but still we have those two runners that we have seen throughout the whole season. Together with Natalia Kemple, who couldn't run today, but those two runners, and they're just slightly quicker all the time. Even if we have a very tight race, they're still a little bit ahead of the others. But my feeling is that we have more names now in the fight for the top 3 compared to what we had 2 or 3 years ago, when it was Alexandersson, Abersold, and then Benjaminsen, and then the rest. Now I think that Olausen is very strong. Lundberg looks very good. Sanna Fast now today with a good performance. Harju got a bit closer again. So many of the names. And the comparison here, can see that Alexandersson did a small mistake at control 1. She's actually a bit behind here in the first climb on this longest leg of the course towards control 3. Olausen with a very good execution here, went a bit to the left to this terrace, got a very quick track there. And Abersold at this moment here, almost in the lead, then a bit too much to the left. Got to the track, that helped her a little bit, then had to change direction up towards the control again. At this point here we have Hanna Lundberg in the lead, then she's going a bit around. You can see Alexandersson very straight, So is Absol as well. On the straight route here, Lundberg with this S, small S, but loses a few seconds by doing this, gets a bit low to control 9 as well. And from here we have Alexandersson in the lead. And now look, first of all, on Absol, now getting back. She's still behind the others. Still at this place. And then here towards control 14, she gets a very quick way to attend it. And in the end, she had the better speed as well in the downhill. So she can get onto this second spot in this last World Cup race, individual World Cup race of the season.
And I'm here with today's winner, Tove Alexandersson. Another win for you here in Finland. Congratulations. Tell us about your experience of the race.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a good race, but sometimes a bit shaky, especially in the beginning. It's really tricky in these green areas when you don't see anything and you just need to go on direction. So yeah, I have done some small mistakes on some controls, but overall a stable race. But it was quite short, so when in the end, I really felt that this will probably be really, really tight, because I think it's many runners that are good in this kind of terrain. So I knew that I had to push all the way in.
And it's your 4th win on the World Cup this year, but it's not enough to win the overall World Cup. You've won it 9 times in a row. Simona takes it today. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's amazing for Simona. Her season this year is really, really impressive. She has done great performances in all races. So yeah, I'm happy for her, because she really, really deserved this victory this year.
And I have to ask about tomorrow. There's a relay tomorrow. Sweden hasn't won any international relay this year, women or men. How important is it for you to get that relay win tomorrow, you think?
Oh, I think this terrain suits us well, so I think definitely we will have a big chance, but it will be really tough, and I think it will be tight tomorrow, so it will be an exciting day.
We'll see. Congratulations on your win today, Tove.
Thank you.
Yeah, she said it a bit shaky at the start, but absolutely nailed it towards the end. And a shorter course than usual, 28 minutes 31 seconds, meant she had to really kind of nail it at the end. But there are 3 Swedes in the top 5 for after today's race, so it gives them a good bit of motivation going into that relay. Of course, Tove Alexandersson, Hanna Lundberg, Stanna Fast. Do you think that will be the team? Well, it could well be. Let's see.
I had my microphone muted still after the interview.
Of course.
Classical mistake. It might be the team. I mean, you have many names you could put into a first team, but if you look at the performance from today, I guess that will be the team, yes. Or you change Sanna Fast and Johanna Ridefelt. But you will end up somewhere there. Hanna Lundberg definitely in the team, and Alexandersson in the team.
Okay, we can look over at the arena as we prepare to move on towards the men's competition. Don't know whether we're going to get a chance to hear from the new World Cup winner. I hope we do, with Simona Absol. But we will start talking, I guess, about the men's race. Whereas again, there is a fight between 2 runners then for the overall World Cup. In fact, I think we'll maybe look at the flower ceremony for the women. As you can see, the top 3, Maria Larsson there with the bib number 3 on. And I guess, the course kind of pulled out, I guess, quite as we expected it to be, fairly easy in general. I think that happens when we've got a lot of controls in the white forest as opposed to in the green forest, which you can see is where Tove Alexandersson was making her mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, given the terrain and given the course, it's not a big surprise that we get the race that we could see at the moment. I think you could have made it a bit more difficult at a few places, but I'm I mean, still we have seen mistakes, and it was a tight race. So I think it was a good competition. Maybe again a little bit on the short side, because those 5 minutes they can really make a difference. But it was good. It was interesting. It will be a bit, in my opinion, I mean, we will take a look at the men's course very soon. There are a few elements that I think make the men's course a bit more difficult, but we can come back to that when we see the map.
So we're going to introduce the flower ceremony then for the women here. The top 3 making their way onto the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the flower ceremony of the women's middle distance competition. The flowers will be presented by the chairman of EOF Board, Tom Hollowell.
Lots of Norwegian support there for Maria Larsen. This is actually her 2nd World Cup bronze medal. Previously having got a bronze in Norway.
Representing Norway,
Maria Larsen taking the flowers, and will be the bronze medal for her. Great routes into the 3rd control, just setting up a brilliant race from her. Looked a bit shaky in places, could have maybe got the win, but ultimately it's the win of the overall World Cup that she really cares about. And that will really have been her aim for today and for the whole season as well. Spending loads of time in Finland ahead of these final. And Tove Alexandersson rescued a shaky start to, in the end, take a significant win here. Significant lead to end her individual season on a high. There we go, the top 3 then for this women's race.
Maybe to make it complete here as well, I mean, we know that Simona Abisol is the winner of the overall World Cup. 2nd place goes to Tove Alexandersson, but 3rd, still, even if she wasn't competing today, Natalia Kempele. That was clear already after the long distance on Thursday. So Kempele, the 3rd runner in the top 3 of the overall World Cup.
And I've just been sent a very good statistic. This is Tove's 50th World Cup win. 50. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's quite good. Be interesting. I don't know how many victories Simon Nikli had. Not as many disciplines though.
Okay, let's move on then towards the men's competition that's been going on concurrently with the women's. And they've been out in the terrain for a good couple of hours, battling on the same terrain as we saw the women's on this hill shape, with a longer course though for the men's, as we might expect. Our current leader is Mattis Kibbert, who's started very early with no other real World Cup points from this season, having been to the Paris Olympics. So in fact, this competition in Finland, his 1st World Cup races of the year. And still pretty cold conditions if you're spectating, but good conditions out in the forest, and much better than it could have been this time of the year in Finland. I think it counts for our quite quick times in these very good conditions. The autumn has meant that seeing a lot of leaves lost from the trees, visibility is improving. And as you can see, for the men, they're 5.5 kilometres, 220 minutes. Estimated winning time, again, we're going to expect to see much under that. Mattis Kibert's already 32.15, and I think Olli Ojanaho already going quicker than him around in the terrain as well. So lots of fast times I'm sure we will see coming up very soon. This is the course then, Jonas. bit of a different number one, but a similar kind of style and expectations of this terrain.
Definitely similar, but a bit more difficult first control because you can't follow the re-entrant towards the control. A more difficult long leg, I would say, because you don't have a very distinct attack point just before the control. Then the same again, TV control at control 6. This one as well, maybe a bit more difficult, would be interesting to know how much it's tracking up in the green area around 7. The same around 9. I guess it's a difficult control in the beginning and it gets easier and easier. Then kind of the same idea behind this long leg as in the women's race, maybe given the fact that it's a bit longer, there's a bigger chance, or it's a better option to go a bit more around. Second TV control at control 12, then up the hill again, and from here it's very, very similar to what we have seen in the women's race, even though 13 is more the way that we have seen Benjaminsen running than the other women, but last TV control at control 15, and then towards the finish there's one more control from 17 to 18. We haven't seen that in the women's race. So this again, the longer leg, the first longer leg over the hill, with the possibility to either go straight or a bit around. At the moment, the fastest time by Olli Ojanau is basically the middle one, staying on the line. Here again, we get a glimpse from the forest. In this part of the forest, it's a bit stony on the ground, but you can see already here in this on the eastern side of the hill, it's better runnability. And then just before the control, it gets a bit greener. I mean, this is the light green. You can see that it doesn't slow you down that much, but makes the navigation a bit more difficult. Then this, the second longer leg, we have the control further down the hill, so it's a bit different compared to the women. At the moment we have the fastest time by Matthias Kibbutz, and he was basically running the blue one, the blue option, avoiding a few meters of climbing. I can say that Joshua Dudley was only 2 seconds slower, and he was closer by the red line. So it's also here, I think it's not gonna make a very big difference if you go straight, if you go a bit to the right. Maybe not exactly as good if you go to the left as we have it here in the picture, but then there are few options. You have to be very distinct in executing it. You have to be pushing very hard in order to not lose any seconds, and especially you shouldn't run an S shape as we had Hanna Lundberg, I think it was, in the women's race, where she just in the end of the leg kind of crossed the line again and attacked it then from the left. If you do that, then you do too many meters of running. That's the start list. One particular name to mention here from the early starters, Max Peter Beimer. Very strong middle distance performance 1 week ago in Sweden, in the Swedish league. Definitely in a good shape. Didn't run the World Championships in sprints, so was focusing a bit longer towards those forest races. Definitely a name you have to have on the list today.
So here is our current leader, Matthias Kibbutz, again, as you say, one of the very early starters, and in the lead currently. It's going to be hard to obviously know how this time stacks up then compared to the rest of the field. Maybe a kind of uncertain kind of tilt of the head there from Matthias Kibbutz. He was 31st in the long distance a couple of days ago. coming back from his Olympic marathon exploits, but maybe a little bit better performance today, possibly.
Yeah, but he said that he struggled a lot physically, and it's of course a big difference if you start running in the terrain again after, yeah, not taking one
So
single step
much
into the
flat.
forest for half a year.
Yeah, exactly. His training will have very much avoided the terrain, would not have wanted to be injured or anything like that. But Oyanaho, though, goes quickest now at control number 12. Yeah, he's another one who's had a pretty poor season overall, and you see his potential is much kind of better than his start position, certainly. Let's see how he's managed to make a good position here. There
You
we
can
go.
see
That's
big
why
mistake.
Kibbutz. Yeah.
Yeah, he was at all of the controls at the fourth control. So given this, it was quite a good performance by Kibbutz. Back to Oya now, struggled a lot with injuries as well. So that's might be the reason. Then he's probably not the strongest when it comes to his sprint as well. Another reason why we haven't seen so much of him.
Tuukka Sepä into third place here at the finish, 27 seconds slower than Kibbutz. And if we look at the overall results, we've got Kibbutz in the lead, Larry Sild in second, Tuukka Sepä just coming into third place there, Magni Daly into fourth, taking those recaps. So 32 minutes and 15 seconds at the moment is our quickest time, and we'll see that drop as well.
Just to come back maybe shortly to Matthias Kibbutz's mistake to control 4, I looked it up. It looked like a very big mistake. He lost actually only 37 seconds on that leg. So it was a mistake, but it's kind of the same as we had for Benjaminsen. It seems to be a big distance, but it's only 1 to 10,000 scale. If you don't hesitate too much and just get back again, then you don't lose that much time-wise. But of course, I mean, 37 seconds on a course like this is too much. He won't be in the fight for the top 5, I would say.
No, I think not, as we see Francesco Mariani line up here at the start line, starting in the arena here today. And getting ready to begin his race. Of course, took a 5th place in the sprint race in Edinburgh at those World Championships earlier this season. A great breakthrough performance for the Italian. Straight into the terrain, climbing up the hill into some sections of green. Straight away, our forest far too dense for our drone camera to pick up any of the runners, but this is the hill that basically the whole course kind of tackles and goes round, and so you can see live then with Olli Oyanaho here. We're going to see him very shortly then at control number 15, which is where we get the next TV check, and you can see he is a decent way, 30 seconds, more than 30 seconds ahead of Kibbutz here. So we wait at control 15, looking for the Finn. Yeah, this is more than 30 seconds now. You can see him kind of scanning the terrain a bit actually there, moving his head each side, and just good routine into the control, checking the number, checking his route out as well. And a 43-second lead now for Olli Oyanaho. Jürgen Backlid next to start. The Norwegian.
Silver medalist in the knockout sprint.
Was 36, so took 5 World Cup points. and for many, we know very much a very good sea orienteer first also, and he has made big steps on the solo orienteering during this season. And now partly so then
So back towards control number 6.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna see a replay of the GPS very soon when he leaves the picture, because there's a reason for the 50 seconds gap.
Jonas Ecker in 7th.
Oh, we don't see it, so maybe I can tell it. Simon Imark far too much to the left to the 4th control. About as much off as Kibbutz was to the north, was Imark to the south. Given that, the 50 seconds are not that much actually.
And Oyanaho here running across the slope. So he's punched the 17th control on his way now towards the 18th. You can see just in some places how beautiful and open this forest is, even with a few kind of rocks on the ground, but absolutely no difficulty at all for a runner like Oyanaho as he goes now to try and find the 18th control,
This one
skirting
is a
around
bit...
some of these crags.
Yeah, and I mean, we remember the women's race, they had to just cut down towards the open area. Now actually the men, they have to run parallel to the slope, as we see it here, drop a little bit, and then there's another control on that spur that we have seen a few of the women approaching the last or second last control from.
Yeah, and this is one of this control makes, I was gonna say, this control is like one of those few that actually makes it a bit more tricky compared to the women's course. Anton Johansson, this is a very extreme way round.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
He's not lost loads of time though.
No, but he should have stayed a bit. It's an option, but it should have stayed a bit closer to the hill, maybe a bit further up. It's kind of the same as we had Ingrid Lundenes losing time in the women's race. She was just staying a bit too low.
So Olli Oyanaho dives out of the forest to the right of this control. That's exactly what we'd expect. And look at that acceleration out of the control itself, the change of direction, opening the stride up here, because surely he's going to go into the new lead at this point. It looks really, really good for the Finn. He's had such a difficult year. This time last year, falling on a Finnish Relay League race and dislocating his shoulder, and had further problems throughout the season, but a much better performance for him today. Of course, still starting fairly early, but it will be a new lead and you can't get much better than that. So powering all the way through to the line. He's such a strongly built runner and does go into the lead. 31:28, and Olli Oyanaho with a new leading time here at the finish on home soil as well. This is Gustav Bergman, I think. You can hear him, very distinctive. And he's had a fantastic start. Another one starting very early on. He missed earlier races this season because of the birth of his child. And then, so not loads of World Cup points, but certainly rounded off into some better form at the end of this season. Look, Katherine on his way out of the start, didn't finish on Thursday's long distance championships. Championships, just a race. And we can flip between runners here. That must be Anton Johansson.
Yes, we remember that he had a quite far around route to the 4th control. Punch, the first TV control, 39 seconds behind.
Yeah, there's the comparison then with Oyanaho.
Try to figure out how much time he lost. 38 seconds he lost on that wheel choice, but not compared to Gustav Bergman, compared to Olli Oyanaho. I mean, he's 39 seconds behind, so the speed is there. Bit low now. There's a risk for him that he's going to do a mistake to control 7. It would have been interesting to stay a bit longer on the GPS, because I think we just witnessed the beginning of a mistake.
Ralph Street, though, at the start. Again, recovering, had a really tricky year with injury as well this year. Ankle injury, missed the European Championships. Trying to work in Norway, where he lives, to get back on that.
That's a very classical, to activate both brain sides, you should look onto an 8. So he was like drawing that 8 in front of him.
I've never seen that being done before, have you?
I've never seen it being done at the start, but I know that this is a thing, that you should look at the lying 8 in order to activate both brain sides.
That's a new one on me. This is what you're mentioning, this mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit too low into that slope towards the control, and that's what I mentioned before when I said that I think in my opinion the men's course is a bit more difficult technically, because you have a few elements like this control in the green that are definitely more difficult that we haven't seen in the women's race. Now we can hear Gustav Bergman again approaching control 15.
Yeah, this is on the knoll here. And actually, I'm just looking at the GPS tracking. We've not got his tracker showing up, certainly on my screen anyway. So hard to make some sort of comment on what he is doing. But we can now look towards
he's doing good.
Yannis Bonek. Well, he is doing good. Yes, he's still in the lead. We can definitely take that from this. Yannis Bonek, a bronze medal at the World Championships last year. See that on the picture. Not had a great sprint season, but has the potential to put together a good race. Was 12th a couple of days ago in the long distance, so certainly getting some form back. And you can see this running out parallel to the run-in as well. And with the noise of the arena speaker, the noise of the crowd, you just got to work hard, focus on your own run, your own race. Use that nervous energy in a positive way. And Yannis Bonek climbing quickly out of the start. Jonas Ecker.
Quite a solid run, solid performance by Jonas Ecker. Will finish the race here approximately a bit more than a minute behind only Ojanao. Also already a minute behind at the first TV control, so from there he did a good race. Seems to be quite satisfied.
Let's take the comparison with Eidsmo.
Yeah, Eidsmo. It's quite similar to what Imark did, but Imark was further down to the south in those 2 yellow bits. Spot there. And here is Gustav Bergman. Must be on the way then to control 18.
Yeah, again, just going back to control 4, like just that it being that bit further down the slope compared to the women's, it being in the green, you've seen a lot more mistakes then on that control compared to the kind of women's control where they descended off the hill on that long leg. But we wait for Gustav Bergman, and we know from the previous splits that he was in the lead. So we watch for him emerging from the forest. He's just looking for small crag off the side of a hill in the mix there, and should be here very, very shortly. See if he can take the lead. He was 6th place a couple of days ago in the long distance, and a better return to form. He really struggled at the European Championships. kind of physically, technically, mentally, I think as well. We can hear him certainly. There we go, right on the edge of the field there. Just coming down towards his last control. And now a minute to see if he can take a new lead. Should be enough then for the Swede to go into the leader's chair. And looks like a pretty good race overall as well from the times and from the GPS. Well, we haven't been able to see his GPS tracking actually.
Oh, but if you look at the times, the display times, it looks like a good race. He was 20 seconds ahead at the last radio control we have. Pre-warning, might have lost a few seconds there.
Yeah, I think you're right, but he still will be quick enough to go into the lead. Looks to his left of the big screen, that's not going to help him, and goes into the lead, 13 seconds quicker than Oyanaho. And now there's quite a lot of runners after him. He's going to have to wait quite a long time to figure out where that puts him on the results list. Also immediately begin kind of assessing his routes. That's Mariani, that's not Jürgen Backlid.
But we might be waiting for Backlid. Because Backlid...
Yeah, has caught up Mariani.
Here he is, yeah. And that's a very good start, only 11 seconds behind Gustav Bergman.
A fantastic start.
So, E-mark, I guess. No, Anton Johansson, it could be, given the running style. Hard to say. Oh, it's E-mark. They're tall, both of them.
I was going to say, Anton Johansson has not got to this point yet at all. That was control 11, and we're going to get a time check at control number 12. Johansson has found number 7 after quite a long time, a couple of minutes dropped there, but it's also having troubles to control number 8 as well, so it's going to be a while before we see him through. Imark though in 8th place, a minute and a half off the pace of Bergman, who is our current leader then at the finish, our new leader at that point.
Now I will stop guessing. It looks like Max Peter Weimer.
Yeah, he's on his way towards the 5th control, and then the 6th where we get the time check. Of course, talked a lot already about his great start at the... Oh, it's good. Very good.
I mean, he is in very good shape at the moment. Strong performance in the middle distance, then had a tough fight in the final chasing start last week of the Swedish League against Gustav Bergman. It was a long distance. Gustav Bergman was a bit stronger in the finish or at the very end of the course, but definitely in great shape. Max Peter Weimer.
Eetu Savolainen, 2 days ago, I was about to say yesterday, 2 days ago he took the 3rd place, bronze position in the long distance race. And I mean, Jonas, you were talking so much a couple of days ago, for anyone who missed it, about how great this man is in Finland and racing in Finland and across all the Swedish leagues that we've been commentating on.
Yeah, it's so fun because if you have been following this Finnish relay league races, you could really see that this man is so strong on the last legs. And I was discussing Ikalisten's team for, I think it was Jukkola once with a friend, and he asked me who's going to run the last leg for Ikalisten. I said, yeah, it has to be Savolainen, and he didn't even know who Savolainen was because we haven't seen him internationally. And I mean, now is, he had definitely the breakthrough a few days ago in the long distance, finally being able to show what he can do on the World Cup. And here we have the kind of the Swedish corner, isn't it, around Control 7?
Exactly, this is pretty much exactly the mistake that Anton Johansson made. He was like on one of those knolls there.
There might be a track into the green from the women's race, like leading them out in that direction, because they went to this stone. If you draw a straight line from control 6 to the stone between 7 and 8 on the south side, then you end up approximately there at this knoll.
Yeah, I think you've got it. As we see Victor Svensk, hopefully he won't make a mistake in that Swedish corner. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing.
Actually,
like when there's tracks, it's good, but then if you're following the wrong tracks, I mean, that's just
and Victor
there's just your
Svensk,
race over.
Victor Svensk, another name, another maybe a bit of an outsider, but in a competition like today, where you have to be strong physically, execute the legs well, rather easy course, but that's no problem for Victor Svensk. I would, on my list, he's very, very far up for a race like this.
Well,
It's a matter of time until he ends up in the top 3 in a World Cup race.
Yeah, I think you're right. Loads, stacks of potential, great relay experience as well with Storytuna. Imark then on his way to control 15. Still kind of a similar time down compared to Gustav Bergman, I think. Yeah, it's been around that 1.5 minute time mark since the second TV control.
You can see
we're
that
live now with Max Bemer.
Yeah, he did a mistake at 7, but he's still in front of Oyanoa. He's, I mean, back lead not perfect either to 8, especially in the first half of the leg.
And actually, what you've got to remember here, no tracking from Gustav Bergman here.
Yeah, that's right. And Gustav was about 10 seconds ahead of back lead and Oyanoa at the TV control, so at control 6. And Oyanoa did a mistake there. Martin Hoopman, interesting as well, because for years he was just outside and not really in the fight for the top 10, but now this season in the forest races has been very strong, twice in the top 10. Wasn't many times in the pictures then, because he started a bit earlier and he kind of was never in the lead, but always very, very consistent in his races in the forest. Will be interesting to see if he can keep up to those performances.
Well, he starts his race after a long time sat in quarantine. It will have been for these later starters here, finally able to be unleashed into the field. This is Ralph Street. Really looking around here. And early stages of the race, you can kind of tell he didn't maybe have the speed in the terrain as some of the others around him, even on the first few controls. And just over a minute down at the first TV point.
I mean, he had quite an okay long distance, ended up in 17th there. We know that he struggled a lot with injuries just before the World Championships. So I think it's top 17 or top 20 is quite okay for him now, late season.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of rebuilding work still to happen has happened over the last few months and over the winter as well. Janis Bonek, this is a 5th control. And I think that's Loic Capburn that he has caught there.
Yeah.
And actually Bonek is catching on street well. This is a good start here from the Austrian. Back at the start then, Axeli Ruohola was a top 10 in fact in the long distance a couple of days ago. Great overall performance from the Finns. as you might expect on the home soil, but will set them up so well for the World Championships held around here next year. And maybe after another consistent performance today. Here at the finish then, Simon Immark, 13th place a couple of days ago, and was about the kind of minute and a half down on Gustav Bergman, and it'll be a little bit more now, but still a kind of strong performance from him. His mistake though towards control number 4, going far too far left, that's caused the most damage here in this race. Bit of a dodgy, a bit too high at control 16 as well. A few small mistakes around. Maybe that's where I think that mistake to 16 just being too high into there is where he's dropped back those extra 20 seconds or so compared to the leader. Tini Polsini at the start, of course, great results in sprint from him.
Put a lot of effort into this sprint training. Would be a surprise if he would be able to match his starting position in today's race.
So now at split 1, control number 6, we're looking for the Kiwi for Tim Robertson. Of course, actually, very much sprint oriented, but this is a pretty good
solid
start.
Yeah,
very
definitely.
Good.
I mean, he's a good orienteer as well, but he is an excellent sprint orienteer. Actually, it's when I look at the GPS, I thought about that when Capen was passed by Bonnek, that it didn't look good what Capen was doing, that he was almost walking. Now he seems to be on the way back home.
Yeah, I thought it was a mistake, but I think you're right in that he must be heading home because he's going completely the wrong direction. A few others, Street actually also slightly messing up control 7 a bit too low, like all of the others.
But Jürgen Backlead, Swedish corner from Street there.
Backlead though, this is him on his way to control 11, and this is kind of drinks control, which you can see here.
Yeah, but still very good. He has I would say 20 seconds from here to the next control. So he's not far off the pace of Gustav Bergman.
Yeah, not at all as he climbs up his way, this control on the open rock, on the bare rock. Will be in second spot. Back at the start then for Teemu Oksanen. Another Finn with a great season overall. The Ukrainian Glibov into 12th spot here. He actually took a very strange route towards control number 4.
Strange. I think Anton Johansson did that as well, right? Went quite far to the north. Give you the time if I find it. Yeah, he lost about a minute to control 4.
But we're looking for Max Petterbeimer.
He turned it around again.
Petter Böhmer a new lead here. So he's actually now, he was behind Gustav, wasn't he,
did a
earlier
mistake.
on?
He did a mistake at control 7. Quite a big one, actually. More than half a minute. But look at this, Eetu Savolainen with a great start into the competition. Had the quickest time from control 3 to 4. Almost straight over the hill.
Very strong, and that's put him 11 seconds then ahead of Max Petter Böhmer, 27 seconds ahead of Gustav Böhmer, who's still our leader at the finish. And Savolainen, with the 3rd place a couple of days ago, certainly backing it up at the moment. Albin Rudefelt then at the start. We're into the really big names here as I kind of turn my start list over in front of me, into the last 10 runners now. Albin Rudefelt is 3rd place in the middle distance at the European Championships last month over in Hungary. Very different terrain.
And he was very close to winning that race. I mean, he was in the lead at the 3rd last control. Then he missed the 2nd last, as so many others did. You can see no problems at all for Savolainen to control 7. It is a tricky one. Many of the runners did the same mistake as Max Petter Böhmer. I think we follow Victor Svensk.
I think you're right. He is certainly on his way to 5 and 6, so we get the time check. It looks like him indeed.
Yeah.
So he's really getting his head up to try and spot the features, I think.
It was a good start as well. He will not beat Savolainen, but maybe Böhmer. Quite similar to Böhmer, I would say.
Well, we'll get the time check at the next one.
Compared to Savolainen, he lost a bit of time between 3 and 4, went a bit more to the south, more on the terrace. That, if I've been following the women's race, a bit more like Marie Olausen went, but in the women's race it was not the same leg, so there it was good. Here, I think in the men's race, you should stay a bit closer to the red line.
Jürgen Backlid here for control 15 into 3rd. And then back at the start then for Fabian Abersold, who had great results in those European Championships. Missed out on the team for the World Championships, Sprint World Championships, so he has had that extra time to focus on the forest. And yeah, he's again starting to get more consistent as well in his
Had a good results on Thursday as well. Was running their good part together with Mika Kirmula. But this kind of terrain could suit him well. It's not too difficult. It's quite physical. He's a strong runner. Yeah, it could be interesting for him.
And for Max Petter Böhmer here,
yeah, definitely.
Still in the lead, and I think he's gained a bit more time here compared to Gustav Böhmer.
He lost 2 seconds, 1 second.
Fine margins. Here we can get the comparison. So live then with Janis Bonek, and this is a great midsection here. You spoke a bit earlier about Max Petter Böhmer, I think it was, making mistakes on one of these controls, and Bonek then in the lead. So we'll get his time check at control number 12. Very interesting to see. So we move on to Thomas Krivda from Czechia, 20th place at the long distance a couple of days ago. You can see a European champs 4th place. So lots of potential here. And I think we're going to catch up with Bonek. Here we go. He's running alongside Ralph Street. And this is his route towards that refreshment control, the 11th control. You can see quite a few tracks there in the forest in places. And looking very good through these controls. Hopefully you have the direction absolutely spot on there. So you just stopping to read the compass, read the map, especially when it gets a little bit slightly denser in these sections. Visibility slightly lower. Still pretty good though. Here's the control, 11th control. And we'll still be ahead of Bejmer then at the 12th, I'm sure. So we wait for him on the approach up the hill.
But I think that Bejmer actually has a bit better speed here. I mean, Bejmer did a mistake of about 40, yeah, maybe 40 seconds on the way. I don't think Bonek did any mistakes.
Yeah, and Max Petter Bejmer is on his approach to the 18th control now, so we should see him. There we go. I didn't even know that picture was coming. He's very, very close towards the finish now, and I think has had a good last section as we can catch Backlid into the finish.
Also a good performance by Jürgen Backlid. Really stepped up towards this season. As I mentioned before, a medal at the World Championships in sprint, the knockout sprint. A good performance today as well. Yeah, many of the runners looking to the left there. It seems to be a screen with the results.
Yeah, that's where the big screen is. Lots of spectators gathered around there. And into third place behind Bowman and Oyanaho. But Max Petter Bejmer is going to take a new leading time here. He's had a great last section of the race. Not a perfect race, but he's going to go ahead of his teammate. And lots of potential here for this to be a good run in the end, a good result after great performances this autumn. Certainly will give him lots of motivation into the winter and next season's forest races. Very happy with that. 30 minutes and 30 seconds. Max Petter Bejmer is the new leader. Ruohola.
I must have struggled a little bit in one place.
Yeah, it was a bit low at control 5, I think, actually. Explains a bit of that time loss.
Now we have Bergman's GPS. You can see that there is a mistake towards control 8. See, at this point, Bejmer approximately half a minute behind Bonek.
So we are back at the start then with the new European champion in the middle distance. Erik Langadal Breivik didn't actually finish the forest race, so went to put together, of course, another great middle distance race. Tino Porcini at the 6th control.
A solid start here.
Yeah, very solid for someone who's spent so much time focusing on the sprint training this season.
I mean, he's a good forest orienteer as well, but still, I would say he's better in sprint than he is in forest orienteering at the moment. And reaching a top 10 in a race like this in the forest, that's a very tough task to do. So I think it's a bit too early, or it would be a surprise for me this year.
Yeah, so Bonek through this, we're waiting for him at control 15, and we got the sense, didn't we, at the previous time check that he just didn't quite have the speed of the two Swedes. And dropping a little bit of time back now, just dropping a few seconds.
I mean, there's not a huge difference in the speed, but there is a difference. lost about 11 seconds on, what was it, 600 meters, 800 meters of running.
And we see waiting for Timo Oksanen. We're actually going to have to wait
Yeah,
a little bit
it's
longer.
a mistake. Yeah, I guess that they got kind of a pre-warning from Control 5, but he reached Control 5 and has to go back to Control 4 first.
Yeah, he just came off the hill in the wrong direction. This is where it's really tricky. That hill at the top is so flat. There's not many features on it at all. And if you're trying to, you know, tick something really solid off on the top of that hill, there's not much to aim for. There's not much to look at to really, you know, be sure of where you are and then continue to his direction. And he kind of was on the red line and then just pinged across to the right. You can see it here. That's what happened. And that's why we're waiting for him.
It's a bit similar to what we have seen Kibbutz doing to Control 4. He ended up at Control 6, Oksanen at 5. Here he is.
Actually, this is
Savolainen,
Savolainen, and we're going to catch him on his way to Control 11. I remember we saw on the tracking, it was a good position for him compared to the others so far in this race. This is 11.
Still good, still going strong.
Yeah,
I think he had a small
smooth
mistake
control.
actually at Control 8, but otherwise still doing good. We know that Beimer had some problems as well throughout the course.
But into the lead though here. Just really keeping that map super steady when he's looking at it, making sure he takes as much detail in as possible, taking good long looks, sometimes putting both hands on there as well, from one fin to another. This is Oksanen. That was Control 6. Where did he go? Into 14th position. It looks like a huge mistake on the map again, but not that bad ultimately. And Riederfelt though,
think,
yeah.
I mean, this mistake is almost as big. Almost a minute. Albin Riederfelt. Emil get the at the start. Also a name he could perform well, but to be honest, I mean, he often struggles at one control throughout the course. If he does that today, he has no chance. On the other hand, he has the physical ability to do very good in this kind of terrain.
Yeah, we'll watch his GPS very, very closely. Waiting now at number 12.
From one Svensk to the other. And that's strong.
That's great.
It's really strong.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about what I said at the start.
I know, I'm sure you are. Yeah, he was talking about his potential, you know, it's just a matter of time, you think, before he takes the top 3, and, well, he's our new leader. Janis Bonek at the finish. He has broken away from Ralph Streets, he's dropped the Brit, but it's not going to be good enough to go into the lead. That's safe with Max Beimer of Sweden. Bonek into second place. The world bronze medalist in this discipline into second at the moment. Very interesting. And you can see Savolainen there is ahead of the Austrian. We haven't got a Beimer on there as well, though our current leader at the finish and on his way to the 14th. We're waiting for, is this the 15th control? Yeah, we're looking for Ruslan Glebov, the Ukrainian, and then Savolainen is not too far behind. Maybe about a minute behind. A constant performance from Glebov, but let's take a look then at the winner from Thursday. Mika Kirmala is also the Finnish Middle Distance Championship, of course, home terrain for him. And it'll be a chance of trying to put together two very strong performances back to back. It's so hard, especially in the men's field where it can be so open. But his race was near flawless in the long distance. And yeah, he's, I think, still got to be a big favourite.
Definitely. I mean, he has the confidence now. He knows that he has the speed which is needed to win a World Cup race. Has been very strong at the European Championships. Very strong also on Thursday. Now he has to prove that he can be as strong in the middle distance as he is in the long distances. And this is interesting as well. Savolainen now 2 seconds behind Max Peter Beimer. So he dropped behind Beimer.
This is Thomas Krivda. Made into, that's the 5th control. And the next one, we will get the time check for the Czech athlete. He went kind of the Maria Laulsen route, quite left of the line on his way to control number 4, but looks like it's well executed. Small mistake maybe to control 2 early on, just a little bit too far left, but still into 6th place here. And this is Martin Regborn. He does have the chance to take the overall World Cup title today. The big favourite for it is Kasper Fosse, but he has to come, top 4?
He has to go for the victory today in order to have a realistic chance. And going for the victory is also Victor Svensk. You can see it, still 33 seconds ahead of Max Peter Beimer. It's very good.
Live with Savolainen there, dropping down towards control number 17. Just noticing he was maybe a little bit close to the re-entrant there, and they got that one, no problems. Now on his way to the 18th control. This is a really tricky one actually, and of course you're kind of contouring around the hill, and you just know it's so close to the end that you can see the field down there. Going to continue with good direction, drop down between the crags. There's a first set of crags and a second. I'm very close to the 18th control, but you can see not quite as quick as a Swede here. And now the final starter, Kasper Fosse, has managed to put together enough good results this season to be leading the Orienteering World Cup at this stage. And he still needs a good performance. He's not got it completely sewn up. Loads of cheers then for Savolainen. It's not going to be quick enough to beat Max Peter Beimer, but he's fighting it out now with Bonnek. All of his supporters there in the field would have been watching the big screens. They'll know what the gap is and working hard to cheer him on the final stages. Well, he might have had the pace, definitely did early on, a few time losses though. And it shows you just have to be so perfect with your execution to be in with a chance of coming into the finish in a top spot. It will be second though for the Finn.
Definitely another
lower.
Great performance by Savolainen. He had, I mean, it's one thing to do it good today, but he had a very strong race on Thursday, delivering again 2 days later. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, no mean feat at all. And straight into recovering there and reflecting on his performance as well. But watch Victor Svensk here. Watch his route. This is very interesting.
Yeah, Bayman was a bit quicker there, 13-14, about 5 seconds. And then a mistake out from control 15. I wonder if he was reading towards controls. No, he must have thought that he, at the first hill, that is already all the way at 16.
Yeah, I can't really put my finger on exactly
I think he was running up
there
on the hill on this spur, and he thought that this is where the control is located, and then he thought he's a bit too high and tried to follow it down the hill.
I mean, this is like a classic just feeling knackered at the end of the course kind of control, and you know, maybe that's where, you know, a more experienced runner is not going to make that kind of mistake, because it's so annoying. He was in a good lead for about 30 seconds, wasn't he? And now he's going to probably end up very similar to the time of Savolainen, just pushing on these last few meters here. It's going to be slower than Bama. Thought he might have had the chance to take a new lead. It wasn't for that mistake to control 16. So tricky, and now he's going to be very similar time to the Finn. Around this final corner, is it going to be second or third? It's going to be third for Victor Svensk, 19 seconds slower than Bama. So yeah, nearly a whole minute lost on the way to control 16.
Yeah, about 50 seconds he lost there on one of the easier controls of the course.
Yeah, because you've got that green re-entrant just before
yeah, exactly,
it.
And the
you should be able to pick that up.
Yeah, big crack. If you just keep direction and the focus, but maybe he was reading ahead already towards control 17, just checking what's waiting. And yeah, if you're not all the way at the control, if you don't see the flag, that's always a risk.
So those are the standings at the finish, and we do have everybody out into the terrain now. So all of the men taking to this course. I think this is 15, waiting for Akseli Ruhola. Here he is. This is Oksanen. And running, who's he running with?
Tino Palsini. They've been running together for quite a while. Palsini did the mistake at control 7, the one in the green just after the TV control. I mean, if we summarize the difficulties, let's take Emil Svensk to that first TV control. We can also see that Breivik has a great time there.
Yeah, we missed Breivik at that point.
Yeah, it was at the time where we got Savolainen to the finish. If we would summarize the challenges of this course, I would say one of them is definitely, one key point is control 4, the way down from the hill, the long leg, then control 7 just after the TV control, then the route choice to control 10, and then from there basically we haven't seen that many problems except for Victor Svensk, who struggled at control 16. Riedefeld, he did actually a mistake to control, I think it was control 4 on the long leg, got too far to the south, if I remember right.
Yep, you remember right. Yeah, he was in, just too far to the left, slightly off in direction.
Seems as if Emil Svensk headed into the green just after control 6, too early as well, as so many others. Still
so let's
not
have a look
far
at how
off.
Breivik managed to do it really well then to end up, well, Svensk and
I mean,
Breivik are two leaders.
both Svensk and Breivik quite equal on this part. We also had, you see, it was Kirmula in the comparison there with a good start, rather good start. This is Martin Hopman on the way to the finish. Again, an okay race, not as good as it was 2 days ago. And, definitely, if I look at the GPS, definitely a mistake by Emil Svensk. Just after the TV control, now we are following Mika Kirmula. We saw that in the comparison before, he was not far off the others on the way to control 4, so we shouldn't be too far behind. Here we have him.
Yeah, here he is at the control, and with Svensk making a mistake, it kind of puts this time of Kirmula into a good one, into 4th place then, just ahead of Max Petbeimer, who is still our leader at the finish. Let's have a look at
Again,
Svensk and watch
the
the brown
mistake.
here.
As many others, a bit too low in the slope into this green, then struggling. Hopman did something quite similar, not as big as a mistake as Svensk. You can also see that's where Beimer is almost equally much time.
And as we said earlier, this is the trouble with see Oxenen down into 9th place. This is where we think maybe there's a track from the women's race just going in that direction, staying too low. And yeah, it's too tempting to follow those tracks. You've got to be really, really disciplined to keep on your own route, keep direction. It is a tricky control because it's in the green, and maybe some of the controls that, you know, obviously a control that the women didn't have. This is Akseli Ruohola, just in the top 10 here. Again, a lot of consistency amongst these Finns, good strength and depth in their team. I mentioned it a couple of days ago, how tricky it's going to be just to get into that World Champs team next year for some of the guys like Ruohola as well. Yeah, very, very tricky, but great performances across the board from the Finns. This is this Abersold.
It's Abersold,
It is.
indeed. Oh, it's so many things happening right now.
Oh, I know. I'm just
forest.
looking at the tracking as well. My God. Okay, if you haven't got the tracking open alongside this broadcast, I recommend that you do so because there is so much going on right now.
So we can tell you that Rekborn is off direction to control 4. Kirmula is missing at control 7. Svensk did the mistake. Svensk is doing a small mistake now as well at control 8. So many of the runners struggling. Now we got Riedefeld to 3rd TV control to 6th position. So here we are behind Martin Rekborn.
Yeah, he's on his way to control number 5.
Yeah,
He
it
was
far
so
too much
off on
to the
control
south.
4. Yeah.
There were quite many of the runs, almost exactly the same as Simon Niemark did. And Vosser is not too far behind Rekborn at the moment. And yeah, now it's very, very difficult for Rekborn. I mean, if he can't win the race, he almost definitely has to be in 2nd position. If he finishes 2nd, then Vosser has to be on position 9. That's more or less realistic. If you go further down to the 3rd position, it starts to be unrealistic. Here we have the mistake by Kirmula.
Yeah, keep looking because he's
He's still there,
yet to have
missing.
found the control. So
It's a huge
Svensk
mistake.
and Kirmula both missing this one.
And you can see he goes out all the way of the green again, enters it, re-enters it, doesn't have a clue yet. It's a huge
No,
mistake.
he's still not found the control.
I
He's
think
about to
that
be
was
caught up by
Fosse.
Regborn.
Yeah,
There
it
it
is.
So not the quickest here, but of course we know Svenska's made a mistake. 7 seconds down. Yeah, I'm being really harsh, aren't I?
Yeah, and I think that Rekborn is in danger as well in order to go a bit low. If he is not going out to the marsh, but let's go back. This is Breivik, I think.
Breivik. Yeah, but actually we're going to take Oxenen into the finish. Out of the top 6 then, Oxenen. He made a mistake at control. In fact, he got to control number 5 before number 4. That explains his time loss. That one mistake just drops you right down in this race. Shows you how good Beimer's result was, his performance was. Yep. Small frustrations there, and looking now for Breivik. Wow, this is great.
That's a great run. I mean, it was a surprise at the European Champs that he could win the race. It's not a surprise anymore. Once you're the European champion, you can't be a surprise anymore, but that's a very, very strong race so far by Erik
you're surprised there, if you
Breivik.
back that up in this way, you know, you can see Breivik is ahead of Fosse here. He's not made any mistakes. He's got a big gap ahead of Beimer. I mean, what a way to back up a European title.
He's not in the finish yet. We have seen Victor Svensk with a good performance in the beginning and then a mistake in the end, but it looks very good for Breivik. A small mistake, as we have seen for Kasper Fosse. And here we have Albin Riedeveld on the way to the finish.
Yeah, again, a mistake at control 4 for Riedeveld. Both this competition and previously, he's actually shown a lot of really, really good parts of his orienteering. Just a couple of mistakes here and there that have had a big effect. But looking to match Oyanaho's time down the slope towards the finish here. Krivda now at control 15. Yeah.
So here we have the comparison. We are live with Erik Langedal Breivik, and you can see that it's a big gap. It's about 40 seconds.
Yeah, for this middle distance race, that is huge.
Yeah, and it's compared to Victor Svensk, so we have to take it and compare the time to Max Peter Beimer. Looks very good as well to control 14.
Yeah, spot on direction where you can see Victor Svensk there a little bit higher, taking the tops of the entrance, top of the marsh.
And here we have him now approaching control 15.
Yeah, doing what a few others have done on this control, just kind of scanning there, maybe looking to the right for the exit, being prepared for the change of direction. He's caught up Joey Haddon, the 2 minutes.
Yeah, he did that very early in the competition.
It's super attacking there as we get back towards the finish. And this is Fabian Abersold, 5th place in the long distance. Not quite as good a performance today. So the same time as Axel Ruohola. Shake of the head. I'm trying to remember where he made his mistakes actually now. Albersold?
I did one, I think, quite in the beginning, towards control 4 maybe.
Yeah, control 4.
Yeah, he was far, but he did the Rekborn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here we have
A
Daniel
bit of a
Hoopman.
mistake into 2 and 3 as well. Tricky. And 10, actually. Littered with mistakes, I think, there.
Hoopman punched there in 14th. And you can see here it's still a huge gap between Breivik and the others. It's more than a minute now. That looks very quick through the forest. Very much attacking still in the end of the course.
Yeah, and I think
soon,
it's only really Foster who can match him, I think, at this point. As we see, Emil Svensk, so mistakes from Emil Svensk at number 7. And that's put him into 7th place. And Breivik descending down the hill, waiting here. Will this be another win from him? I think it's really only Foster who can match it potentially, but we know he's already had some mistakes. So Krivda across the line into 11th place. Just wait for the European middle distance champion. He's super close. This is him on his way to the 18th control.
He's very close to the control now. It's dropping down, here it is. And now we don't have any orienteering left, it's just getting out to the open fields. Second last control and then the last control. And as you mentioned, it could very much be the victory today. Will be a fight between him and probably Kasper Foster.
Just about manages to stay on his feet there. You see Joey Hadorn further behind, and this is an incredible run here again from Breivik, just matching up his European title winning performance. It's going to be a huge gap over Max Petterlema. I think there's only one man possibly in the forest who's able to match this performance. Breivik showing he's not a one-trick pony, showing he can back up quite an unexpected middle distance result with a result here at the World Cup final. This is an amazing performance here from the Norwegian, cementing himself as the one to watch in terms of the middle distance. 29 minutes and 17 seconds. Very, very good, with Hadorn going into 7th place. And if you look back, the guys who are yet to finish, Daniel Hubman's behind, Emil Svensk is behind, Kiemela's made mistakes, so too has Regborn. Only Foster, well, Foster's made mistakes as well, but you never want to count him out. Let's have a look then.
So here
Foster
we have them.
A little bit behind, Savalainen also with mistakes.
Yeah, and then we get Breivik ahead still. Foster going quite straight up the hill. A bit more direct compared to Breivik, but the gap remains about the same.
Was that maybe 15-20 seconds between the two of them? And we were live with Foster there, so he could, I mean, he's so physically strong, he could make it up. It's going to be really close, I think. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. But certainly this man
no, but I mean,
in the lead.
We haven't seen any mistakes by Breivik and Foster. I mean, it's, let's say, only 20 seconds, but I mean, where to win it back, he has to really do it physically. And winning back 20 seconds on the performance as Breivik had it. It's not easy. But you can see that it tracked up. It's easier for sure for Fosse compared to what the early starters had. I mean, Breivik had quite similar conditions.
Yeah, Kasper Fosse just dives through this terrain. Look how much speed he's able to get up through this terrain. And we've kind of seen, like, crossing some of those branches earlier, seen that, certainly that position before. And this is where he's so good through the terrain here, picking up this boulder on the way into the control itself as well. And it's the next one where we get the time check. You can see, I think he's still going to be behind, but not by loads.
No, about
Races
15
through
seconds.
that control. This is Regborn, and we saw mistakes from him. Control 4, he was too far to the south.
That's the control after one, so it's only about 20 seconds between 25 between Regborn and Kasper Fosse out in the forest. You can see the time's ticking now. 5 seconds will stop at around 15 seconds between Breivik and Fosse. It's less, 11.
Yeah, 11. This fight isn't over. And I wonder again, you know, it's a short race, under the 30 minutes. You know, Kasper Fosse's got to feel like it's going to be really, really close here. I mean, you know, all of these guys know, as we've seen everyone through Control 12, that it's going to be a very, very close race.
And I wonder if he soon is able to spot Martin Regborn and Mika Kirmul out in the forest, because I would say it's about 80 meters, 70 meters right now. For sure you don't see that far where they are at the moment, but if you
and when Kasper Fosse
closer,
sees his only challenger for the title, I mean, that's got to be a huge amount of relief for Fosse.
Yeah, but I mean, he knows that with a performance like this, well, it has to be very unlucky for him in order to not win the overall World Cup.
Yeah, but you don't know what your closest rival's been doing. You've got to assume he's been having a good race as well.
If he has I mean, so far it's a rather good race. He had a small mistake at 7, but that's like 5 or 6 guys would beat him, and that one of them, the quickest one, would be his biggest rival. Yeah. I think he would need a different kind of race in order to get really, really nervous.
Well, Daniel Hubman into the finish here. Small mistake at 7 from him. Otherwise, pretty consistent, nice straight routes around the course. But I'm not really technical enough for Daniel Hubman's liking, I'm sure. Crossed the line into 14th. Just ahead of Kibbert there.
2:54 behind Erik Lamina Breivik.
So live then with Kasper Fosse here, or not quite live, because he's just lost connection to his GPS tracker in that little entrant. So you can see Ian behind Breivik though. Whoa, only just behind, this is so close. And Emil Svensk in the field on the last few controls. Again, mistakes, lots of mistakes I've written down for the last 10 runners, which is why we've got Breivik in that great position. He just did not seem phased by any of the course. Outside the top 6 for Emil Svensk, a better result than a couple of days ago where he was 25th though. So into 10th with 3 men out in the forest. One of them is this man, and let's see how he compares to Breivik. He's actually lost a bit more time. It was 11 seconds, it's now 18.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is that Rekborn is doing quite a good race at the moment. He struggled in the beginning, he struggled to control 4, but from there, just quite solid. Didn't lose much more time, but it was too much in the beginning. But Foster is not up and together with Kirmola and Rekborn yet. And Erik Langedal Breivik, I think he starts to be a bit nervous now, because it could be his second World Cup victory.
Yeah, his second middle distance win in a row. Foster a little bit off the line here. This is the
Yeah, that's right. It's a bit.
the Victor's fence.
Yeah, but maybe it's just.
Maybe it's a bit of safety
due to the GPS. There's not much safety in doing that. It's not safer to run up the hill compared to staying between the slope and the hill. Maybe a bit of bad direction out from the control, but no struggle. But doesn't definitely not get closer if he does things like this. And now, I mean, it's a lot. I don't think there's a possibility to beat Breivik.
No, I think Breivik had a good last section. It's not enough.
2 controls left.
And in fact, Foster's going to win the World Cup title before he even finishes, because Martin Regborn needed to be, where did he need to be? In the top 4 for him to beat Kasper Foster, and he's going to be outside of that. But we can catch up with the Norwegian on his way to the 18th control. Last bit of orienteering here on this kind of open section. It's dropped quite a lot at the start, I think, there here in this leg. But with dropping a little bit of time to controls 16, there's not much he can do now. Just needs to conserve this spot. Running by the crags here. Good attack point in control.
Try to spot the Rekborn somewhere in front of him, but I can't see the other 2 runners, Kirmola and Rekborn. You can see that it's quite dense here anyway. So hard to see far ahead of you in the terrain. See that he's looked a bit to the left in order to see the hill, the top of the hill of this spur, just to check the direction.
Yeah, and in fact, that was quite a good route to that point compared to Regborn and Kirmola here, who are at the field already, at the finish arena. And Regborn there, you can see he will maybe just about be caught by Kasper Foster in the background here. He knows that his World Cup overall title bid will not come to fruition. He needed to be in the top 4, and he's not managed to achieve that. Kasper Foster on the final stages is going to be too late to take the win today. It's not going to be enough as we see Regborn cross the line here, but we're looking out for Kasper Foster on this final corner, but he's going to be late here. He's not going to be able to take the win. He crosses the line into second place, and second place by 29 seconds in the end to hand the win to Erik Langedal Breivik. Another middle distance win for him. So in both the men's and the women's World Cup, the overall title is won by the second place finishers today.
And I have to say, I'm actually more impressed by the victory today of Erik Langedal Breivik compared to the one at the European Champs, because the European Champs so hard.
It was so chaotic.
It was so long. It was such a strange race. So it was kind of made for an outside victory, but this here really wasn't. I mean, it was Not the most difficult one. It was, but you had to be careful. It was a quick one. It was a short one. You were not allowed to do any second of mistake, or yeah, maybe in his case, about half a minute of mistake. But I mean, to win a race like this, yeah, you have to be the best orienteer of the day. You don't do that by accident. So that was very, very impressive. And also the performance by Foster. I mean, he proves again that he's there when pressure's on. Well, he doesn't really care. He just performs, and well, he ends up second. Well done. He wins the overall World Cup again. Last year he had was a bit unlucky in the last competition. Was a knockout sprint. He got injured. I think it was in the semi-final or quarter-final. And Matthias Kiburtz was able to win the overall victory. Now he's back on the throne again. Throne of orienteering.
Yeah, right on that top spot with the silver medal position. And again, like some pressure coming into this race, you know, knowing he's got to put together a good performance with having Martin Regborn hot on his heels, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a special situation, but I think it was a more nervous situation for Regborn compared to Foster, because it's not nice to have your biggest opponent just in the back behind you, and especially when Regborn did this mistake to control 4. I mean, he knew that it was over. It was too big of a mistake, a minute or more mistake on a course like this, and you're damned to be top 4. He knew that it was over at the 4th control.
Those are the final results. Max Verstappen in the end in 3rd. Shout out to Savalainen again in that 4th place. 3rd and 4th. I mean, he's a huge name to be watching out for when it comes to next year's World Championships. A big shout out for Victor Svensk as well. Just knocking on the door of a top 3. It'll be his time at some point. And Janis Bonek, a great result for him into 6th place, really kind of showing his Forest credentials as we nip down the results list as well. And Erik Langdal Breivik, is that your kind of result of the day, the performance of the day for you?
Yeah, definitely. That was, I mean, you named Savolainen, but to win a race again, you had this big success at the European Championships. It's the next race. Everyone says it was a big surprise that you won that European champs. You want to prove that it wasn't, that you actually, how did you call it? A one-trick pony?
Yeah,
a one-trick pony. So now he's a two-trick pony. No, but I mean, you want to prove it, and it's just the next race. That's just incredible. But Victor Svensk, unlucky in the end. Otherwise, he could have been the performance of the day as well. Hard to take that one away from, if you compare it to someone who won the race, though. But let's take a look again at the course. This one of the key legs today. I said it before, many of the runners went a bit far to the south or to the north. It's tricky because you run down from this hill. It's hard to get a clear attack point on the top of the hill. You have to work a lot with direction. Then the second key point towards control 7, we can see that Beimer did a mistake there, Foster did a mistake there. Savolainen with a small mistake at 8. So already here Breivik was in the lead. He was basically the one who got through the whole course without a mistake. Foster at this place, it looked as if he could get closer and closer. Beimer runs a very similar route compared to Breivik. Stays a bit further to the north than the second part of the leg. Here again, Foster is very, very close to Breivik, but Breivik had a great finish. This leg was very strong. And then small mistake with direction from 15 to 16 by Kasper Foss. You can see it adds another 10 seconds to the watch. Then a good route here as well by Breivik. Stayed higher, could avoid those cracks and cliffs. And in the end, I didn't see any mistake by Breivik. Basically, that was a almost perfect run.
Yeah, I wonder if he, thinks the
Here
same.
we
I'm
have
sure we're going to hear
today's
from him
winner,
now.
Eirik Langedal Breivik. Congratulations on your win, Eirik. Of course, where so many are making mistakes. How did you do so well?
I don't know. I just feel amazing from start to finish. I started hard, picking the first control really well. So just trying to push as hard as I can, the control just come flying to me. I have an amazing feeling technically today. So just pumping as hard as I could.
The control 7 in the green area to the north. So many of the other guys are making mistakes up there. What was your sense going into that control?
First of all, I'm pushing really hard over the top and coming flying down to the fourth control, and then I saw Joey when I'm catching the fifth and sixth control, and then I had a really good confidence and just feeling really confident when I'm starting going onto the green. I saw that I had to climb one curve up, and then I saw the control from the side, so I can make a small turn to the right up into the control. So I think the next control was really hard as well. Maybe the most tricky, go straight on the compass to the 8th one, because I felt that I was just running, hoping that to see the control, and I was thinking maybe I passed it, but I just keep going on the course. So to see it in the end was really nice, and then I just flying today.
And it's your second win this fall. You had the European Championship in Hungary on the middle distance as well. What have you been doing well in training, you think?
I don't know. I think I just do a lot of good training, and I think I have the confidence now to believe that I can set a full race in really good speed, and I just feeling that it's more likely that I crash into every control, that I'm losing 10 meters on something. So it's just an amazing feeling to run orienteering on middle distance.
Great, congratulations once again, Eirik.
Thank you.
It's like peak levels of technical orienteering. It's like almost like a dream, that race, and like exactly a race as ideal as you want it. Just that feeling of all the controls almost finding you. Obviously, you're putting in all the techniques, all the great navigation to absolutely nail every single control. It's like, I wonder if he can find any way that he could improve that. Like, not really at all, because it was a spectacular run, and he's just, I don't know, he kind of speaks with some shyness as well, but he is clearly, as you said, like full of confidence, and to back that result up from the European Championships, like he hopefully will have a great winter now, full of excitement about next season.
Yeah, definitely. You could feel the confidence, but you should be confident. He was also talking a lot about that he felt like flying, always kind of a proof that the physical shape is very good as well.
Yeah, it just felt like he was moving through the terrain so quickly. It's such a satisfying feeling. Occasionally, as an orienteer, you get that feeling. Whatever level you're competing at, it just feels great through the terrain, and you very, very rarely get it for a whole race. You might get it for a couple of controls, but Eirik Langedal Breivik got it for the whole race there. You can just tell, and it's a very happy top 3 on the podium now to be presented with their flowers at the end of this competition. And we haven't talked loads about, we talked a lot about Max Verstappen much earlier on in the broadcast, because he was quite an early starter, but what's so satisfying to back up a great autumn of races in Sweden with a third place here today just shows that what he's been doing well in Sweden has transferred onto the international stage.
Yeah, definitely. It's not. I mean, it's not a surprise. We've seen him competing last week. He was incredibly strong in the middle distance in Sweden. Was able to switch a bit earlier or he was forced to switch a bit earlier due to the fact that he didn't qualify for the World Championships. In the end, of course, that's a small advantage if you look isolated on the forest races, but still you have to perform it, you have to give it in a race like this, and with the mistake he had at Control 7, it was, I mean, it was a very good performance needed in order to end up in top 3.
Yeah, as with Kasper Fosse, of course, just been getting the second place there. Super consistent, only very small time losses, but Norway 1 and 2 here with Erik Langedal Breivik on the top spot here. He's getting pretty used to this, being in the middle of this trio on the top spot on the podium, and taking all the interviews and the flowers and the attention. A fantastic autumn for the Norwegian, and there you have the top 3. Just seeing if we've got our overall World Cup points decided yet. We know that Kasper Fosse has taken the win, but other positions, of course, up for grabs. And with the men's course so open, obviously great results here for Erik Langedal Breivik. May just well push him up the standings at 100 points, of course, earned there. But obviously we can turn to the results for the women in the World Cup overall, and just a confirmation then that Simona Aebersold taking 600 points, taking the win ahead of Tove Alexandersen, with only being first or second in the whole season. Natalia Gempler, she had to drop out of the race today with illness, but still takes that 3rd spot. Of course, wins earlier in the season for her in Switzerland as well. And watching all of the kind of other points, top 40 in each World Cup race, they pick up points, with 100 points from the winner, 80 points for 2nd place, and that's how it has ended up after this season. This is confirmation of the men's, and yes, Erik Langedal Breivik did pick up enough points to get into 3rd place overall. 1st and 2nd for Kasper Fosse and Martin Regborn. That was the positions going into this race. Nearly 100 points gap in the end, but Erik Langedal Breivik with, of course, 2 wins, pulling him up to 3rd place overall. Look how many Finns you have in there in that top 20 as well. Great points for them. Well, that is it for the individual races then of these World Cup season, but we do have one more race to go. We'll be back tomorrow for the relay, and the Swiss get another victory here as well. Or can it be the Swedes who are able to pull together a great team and take their first relay win? Will the Norwegians manage to take another win in the relay? It's going to be very, very interesting. It'll be another fast and furious race. Lots and lots of teams on the start list in this terrain here in Finland. A great setup for next year's World Championships. But these are pictures of some fantastic performances from today's race. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast. We hope you enjoyed watching over all of the races today, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.